This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Happy Friday, everybody. Let's do this. WST time. Welcome to the program. Big weekend in the Olympic opening games, the Olympic opening ceremonies, I should say, are on as we go live Friday afternoon. And the Olympic Games are officially underway. We'll talk about a big move for Canada's hockey team that was made yesterday after we finished the show. Look ahead to the big game on Sunday, Super Bowl 60, Patriots, Seahawks. Lee Hacksaw Hamilton will join us a little later on. We'll also have Jeff Hamilton and discuss the NHL at the break and the upcoming Olympic Games with our pal John Matisz from The Score. Hey, had a lot of fun this morning with Connor along with Pat and Jake from Coolbet with our Super Bowl prop draft extravaganza. That is up on the YouTube channel right now. If you haven't already checked it out, we dove into some long shots, a novelty pick, a touchdown, a player prop, and our other favorite picks. So those are all up there. And obviously with the Super Bowl being the biggest game of the year when it comes to betting, our friends over at Coolbet have a bunch going on right now. Don't forget, if you want to take advantage of that one-time bonus for the Super Bowl, 100% bonus up to $60 on a deposit. So put up to 60, they'll double it. Use the promo code WSTSB60. And the other thing that you're going to want to do, and I'll mention this later on, but if you go to Coolbet's X account, the pinned tweet, make a $25 prop bet on any of the players in the game, whether it be a touchdown, a rushing, receiving, and then you respond with your slip. If that player gets a 60 or more yard touchdown in the big game, you will get a piece of the $5,000 bonus bet pool. So that's all up on their social media channels, but take advantage of that as well if you are betting on the game. We're going to be in there. You can see it right there. Look at Remis, always on top of things here. So yeah, we'll get into the Super Bowl. We had a lot of fun this morning on the channel. So if you do want to sort of dive into a bunch of the angles and some of the fun offerings and prop bets out there, we've got that up for you on the channel right now. We will be talking NHL at the break. Busy night last night in the National Hockey League, and now it is dark for basically 3 weeks. And guys that we normally cheer against and can't stand are going to be guys you'll be cheering for. And conversely, some of the guys that you're probably more than always behind, Connor Hellebuck, Kyle Connor, they're the bad guys. So hockey getting going next week. Cannot wait for that. Again, we'll talk that with Remis as well as John Matisz coming up, Jeff Hamilton, and then dive into all the stories in the NFL around the Super Bowl with Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, and fire up the marbles to kick off the weekend as well. Just before we bring in Michael Remis, welcome to everybody on the show. Do want to thank all the sponsors that make WST happen each and every day. Of course, our partners at Coolbet, the Winnipeg Jets. It was great to see everyone, and we appreciate everyone coming out for the game on Wednesday. Not the game that we wanted to see, unfortunately, but we will do 2 more WST nights. The Tampa game on a Thursday in March, and then Philly on a Saturday to finish up the season. If you want to jump on with us, go to winnipegjets.com/WST to get your tickets for that. We also want to thank Princess Auto, Chud's Power Sports, Clean Line, Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, the gang at Uptown Alley, Rolly's Transfer, St. Patel Dental Center and Canadian Club, Manitoba Battery, Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge, BP, Royal Sports, Little Brown Jug, and of course the St. B Mega Millions Lottery. We'll also get to a why not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Welcome to everybody in chat, and welcome to you, Michael Remis. What's up?
Hey, I'm in a good mood. I got the Olympic opening ceremonies on in front of me. I'm watching on mute. Super Bowl weekend, very excited. So, the NHL's at a break, but I think for Jets fans, after last game, the loss to Montreal, the image of half Canada Life Center dressed in red, cheering them on to their 5-1 win. Happy to close the chapter on the pre-Olympic break, and we saw how great they played coming out of the Christmas break. We'll get to see Josh Morrissey represent Team Canada, Nino Niederreiter, I'm watching out for him, carrying the flag for Switzerland, and Connor Hellebuyck, Kyle Connor, Team USA. So, we obviously would rather Canada win over USA in the gold medal game, but excited to see them get an opportunity because, Kyle Connor got kind of hosed at the Four Nations. So we'll see how it goes for the next 2 weeks, but we're already getting some viral moments pop up. I don't know if we're going to have a ray gun like from the 2024 games, but there's a lot of stories coming on. It's going to be on all day. The time change isn't terrible. You can watch in the morning, and they have the evening replay. So this is a good time of year here.
I know you're excited to talk about a potential Olympic scandal in ski jumping.
We'll get to it later.
That will be addressed for sure. I did get a text just before from one of my homies that said, "How's the blood pressure after yesterday's show?" It's much better. It's much better. I, like many people, was not in a great mood yesterday after the way the pre-Olympic portion of the schedule finished up, and a combination of the game, the crowd, obviously some of the comments after the game from the podium. But we move on. We move forward. I am in a great mood. It is Friday. The weather's turning around. Actually, a little chilly today, but it looks like it's going to be really nice for the weekend and into next week. So, as I said, everyone needed a break. The players needed a break. The fans needed a break. And we will take this NHL break, and we will move on to dive into everything Olympic Games for Team Canada. And, of course, speaking of Team Canada, Remis, the big news yesterday, which, again, has to be devastating for Mark Scheifele. Braden Point will not be going to the Olympics representing Canada. They did make a last-minute replacement. It was not Mark Scheifele, who's top 10 in NHL scoring. It was Winnipeg native Seth Jarvis of the Carolina Hurricanes. Had a real strong season. He's got 25 goals, and obviously was part of that Four Nations team, which I think gave him a leg up like so many of the other returning players. But got a feel for Mark. I said, when they originally announced the team, not sure what more he could have done to put himself front and center to be one of the Canadian representatives. Many people have their theories on why it is the case, but the bottom line is Mark can head to Cabo or the Virgin Islands or wherever he and some of his friends and teammates will be going because he won't have the opportunity to represent Canada, which is certainly sad for Jet fans, but at the same point, certainly for the city and the province to have another young Manitoban and Winnipeg native and Seth Jarvis is pretty cool for him. And we heard from him last night as they played the game just how excited he is to be able to get a chance to put that jersey on again and be part of the Olympic experience.
Yeah, we were on Braden Point watch all week. Is he practicing? Is he going to get into a game? And once it was determined that he wasn't going to play the final 2 games, I thought it was going to be a really tough ask for them to be like, hey, man, you want to play your first game dropped into Olympic hockey? And, he would have had another week to recover. He was injured, I think, January 12th. It was his last game. So I thought it was a tough ask, and we were kind of waiting, and they waited to the last second. He tested it out, took a bunch of morning skates, but ultimately he wasn't going to be 100%, and that's really tough for Braden Point, who, to be honest, hasn't had, one of his best seasons. So we were talking about replacement names all week. Who would it be? And we narrowed it down yesterday. Zach Hyman, Mark Scheifele, Connor Bedard, Seth Jarvis, Wyatt Johnson. I don't think there's a wrong answer with any of them, but ultimately Team Canada loved the continuity that they had with the Four Nations. Jarvis was on the team last year. Cirelli went down. They just went with Bennett, who was on the team last year. And Jarvis, pretty good player. He can play both wings. He's fast. He can score when needed, play up and down the lineup. I'm curious, we thought maybe Point would play with McDavid. I'm curious who lines up with McDavid. That's why we thought, I thought it was going to be Hyman. We talked about that yesterday. They seem to not, like Mark Scheifele, despite him being the number 4 point scorer in the NHL this year among Canadians. So Hyman seemed like a good fit with McDavid, but they went with a guy who was on the team last year in Jarvis. And I was very pumped to see another guy from Winnipeg named the 5th Manitoban. They're all on men's and women's hockey, but I think that's pretty awesome. And, he represented pretty well in the post game last night, Huss, when asked about making Team Canada.
Yeah, the biggest question when Jarvis was originally announced to the team would whether his buddies from the Peg here be able to make it to Italy on short notice. They famously drove the 30 hours to Boston for the gold medal game of the Four Nations. You're not going to be able to pour into the SUV and drive to Italy, but I'm sure that'll be a story. But yeah, you mentioned, this is obviously a young guy that, is a proud Winnipegger. Really, really fun character. And we've seen some things, in the off season, the Canes put Jarvis out a little bit more as a real personality from the team. I knew he did a fun thing with Colby Armstrong that we have seen on some of the broadcasts. But he is a Winnipeg dude. And if there was any question about that, check this out with the attire as he was asked about getting the call to Team Canada after their last game.
What were your other plans?
Going to Cabo. Yeah, so obviously love warm weather, but this is a absolutely great reason not to go.
Have you ever been to Italy?
No, first time. So it'll be fun to get over there, and especially in a situation like this, it's incredible.
You remember where you were for Crosby's golden goal?
I was at a friend's birthday party in Winnipeg, so I vividly remember that and running around his basement like I was 12, no, 8-year-old does.
All right, so there's Seth Jarvis, and if you're listening on the podcast, you couldn't see the visual. How about Jarvie rocking the old school starters Winnipeg Blue Bombers football T-shirt in the locker room after the game?
Yeah, and shout out to Johnny Lazarus. He posted this one on his social media feeds from Daily Faceoff. And yeah, that's not a new shirt. Like, look at that CFL logo. That's the old 90s logo. So I don't know if he's shopping some of the vintage Instagram accounts around the city looking for good gear, or this is a reproduction, but it's a pretty sweet Blue Bombers football shirt to be wearing post-game, after their game yesterday, and talking about going to the Olympics. Congratulations to him and his family. I saw Paul Friesen had a nice article with his dad in the Winnipeg Sun.
Jarvis is such a fun dude. Like the interviews that we've seen, and I haven't had the chance to meet him personally. We'll hopefully get him on the show maybe in the off season or something like that. But I did get a chance to meet all of his buddies in Boston, and they were hilarious. And it reminded me, you look at him, he's still a really young guy, and comes back. I think last year he was just still living at his parents' place in the off season, got this massive contract, and still just happy to be the guy that he is. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of the more likely places you'll see Seth Jarvis in the offseason is at the Rum Hut at Princess Auto Stadium during halftime of Bomber games. But right now, he joins Mark Stone and Travis Sanheim as the Manitoba contingent on Canada's men's Olympic hockey team. No Braden Point, and now we move forward. And listen, we won't belabor this because we spent a lot of time this year talking about Mark Scheifele's chances of being on the Olympic team, and certainly this is a fan base and a city that I think was all pulling for Mark. We knew how important it was to him to try to make it, but unfortunately, and there'll be many theories as to why that is the case. Despite another brilliant offensive season, they picked Seth Jarvis, who, of course, had the chance, I think, to really ingratiate himself to John Cooper and Hockey Canada management last year in the Four Nations. And I will say this, while the high-end offense of Scheif is probably on another level, although Jarvis can score, the versatility of Jarvis, the ability to kill penalties, probably playing a checking role, I think was probably the reason that that he got the nod. But still pretty gutted for Mark again after missing out on something that I think was so clearly important to him.
Yeah, and you look at Team Canada scores, as I mentioned. You have Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, they're up there in the 90s. Macklin Celbrini's got 81, and Mark Scheifele, number 4, at 68 points, ahead of, Nick Suzuki, ahead of Mark Stone, ahead of Marner. Mark Scheifele has had an incredible season. He's done everything that he could, and for whatever reason, they don't want him on the team. Same with Evan Bouchard. He's top scorer among defensemen, and he's not on the team as well. Wyatt Johnson, we don't even talk about him. Canada, very stacked. They have the guys that they want, and that guy clearly not Mark Scheifele, but certainly deserving and could fit in any spot that they wanted on the team.
Now, we're going to get into this a little bit with John Matisz coming up, Remo, but did you watch any of the pucks last night in the final evening of the National Hockey League?
So I had on the Coast to Coast show on Prime. I really didn't know what game to watch. And, they had Bruce Boudreau and Mike Rupp and Ed Nanverk commentating on the games while showing. So there's a game I want to focus on, but I did enjoy that show where they show you all the stuff.
Well, I'm sure they managed to pop over to the Tampa, Florida game last night. This is probably the rivalry in the NHL right now between the two Sunshine State teams. We remember what happened in the preseason. We remember what happened earlier on this year, putting up penalty minute numbers that we just simply don't see in this era of the National Hockey League. And as Tampa was enjoying every second of putting the finishing touches in all likelihood on the Panthers' hopes of defending their championship, guess who? Matthew Tkachuk, with a cheap shot from behind on Nikita Kucherov, started a big melee, and God bless him, Brandon Hagel went after Tkachuk in a rematch of one of the fights that kicked off the Canada-USA game last year at the Four Nations, and did quite well, giving it to the Panther star who'll be suiting up for Team USA. And I have to tell you, Reem, I watched that probably 5 or 6 times, and I left just so fired up for what we're going to get starting next week with Canada looking to win Olympic gold. I don't think we'll get a lot of that nonsense. I don't think there'll be any fighting at the Olympics, obviously with the different rules than what the Four Nations had. But it was like the Olympics had already started last night, those two going toe-to-toe the way they did in the Tampa, Florida game.
Yeah, that was a tough game for Tampa, Huss. They're down 4-0. Their playoff hopes, all but mathematically eliminated at this point. And Matthew Tkachuk goes up to Nikita Kucherov in the neutral zone and just shoves him in the back. Seems unnecessary. Kucherov on an absolute heater. It's got among the NHL points leaders, and I was surprised after he shoved him, Huss. Matthew Tkachuk didn't pull his hand out of his glove and said, "Hey, I've got tape on my hand. I can't fight." But no, that was Brady earlier this year against the Jets, and Florida, they were down bad, and they just said, "Hey, we're going to lose. Might as well get our pound of flesh and drop in the gloves." We won't be seeing that in Milan, fortunately or not, but it does get you fired up and did bring everyone back to last February when it was Canada and USA and the Tkachuks in the middle of that.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, are you with me now? The Panthers are done.
We said that yesterday. Yeah,
I know, but are you in line with me? It seems like there's a lot of people that are still, they're the Panthers. They'll be back. Like, not only are they in a terrible situation, even if they had all of their guys, they don't have Barkov. They've got the most Olympians, and they're going to come back, I think, in a position that it's going to be really hard for them to be at their best after the Olympic experience with so many of those players playing. And as I said, they picked up the 1 point on Boston. They had to have that game against Tampa last night, and you could see how much the Lightning loved pouring it on last night in many different ways and handing the Panthers such a crucial loss.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. The Panthers, did the Winnipeg Jets sink their season? They're 4-6 in their last 10, 61 points, the same as the Flyers, less than the Maple Leafs. There's so many teams ahead of them. They're 8 points out. And I'm looking at Money Puck. They have their playoff percentage at 15.8%. Might be a bit high, I'm not sure, but they're playing a lot of games in their conference left, a lot of games on the road. It's going to be real tough for them to get into the playoffs. So, yes, I agree. I think that they're done, and I'm kind of curious what they're going to do at the deadline now, if they throw in the towel 6 games. But yeah, it's kind of surprising that the defending 2-time Cup champions likely will not be in the playoffs.
Hey, if you can, pull up that Money Puck playoff odds. That's one thing that we should basically just do a quick look at as we are at the break. No surprise, you look at the top of that list, and it's locked in the top 3 teams in the Central Division: Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota. They're all 99.99 or 100. Tampa Bay's in at 99.9. Carolina's in at 99.8. Vegas at 92.9. Pittsburgh with a big win. I watched this game, the Pittsburgh-Buffalo game last night. How about the Penguins, Remis? I mean, we've talked a lot about, the Sharks and some of these other teams. Pittsburgh, 85.6% chance of making the playoffs right now after their win last night. And what can you say about Sidney Crosby and the job that he's done? And obviously, Sid's going to look to step his game up to an even another level as he puts the jersey on and once again serves as a captain at Canada.
Yeah, and they had a guy come in yesterday, has come in his first game and score 2 goals for them. I got to go double check the name, but Pittsburgh, I mean, I did not, that's, look at surprise teams. Is it going to be Buffalo, Pittsburgh? Again, it's crazy the number of teams that are non-playoff teams last year: Utah, Detroit, Anaheim, that look to be in there. And you look at teams like Winnipeg, Florida, great seasons last year, but not good enough this year. LA on the bubble, they just added Panarin. We'll see what happens. Washington was in last year, so bit of a change here. It's kind of nice for the NHL, but I think that you look at the standings, has kind of opens your eyes how ridiculous. One, the playoff format is like stupid, the division stuff, and also the point system, where you see some teams being propped up, by losing in overtime, and instead of like actually winning games. So that's just what it is. That's what we're dealing with, and we'll see. I'm looking forward to the final, however many games post-Olympic break.
Yeah, here, just for those of you that are listening, a bit of a rundown. I mean, in Pittsburgh, as I said, 85, Habs 83, Utah 81%, Detroit 78, Anaheim 75. Those last 3 all would be new teams into the playoffs. You've got Edmonton at 74.6. Kind of funny that Edmonton has a lower playoff percentage than the Ducks right now. And now Buffalo, they did lose last night. They've still put themselves in a great spot. They're just under 70% at 68.6. Seattle's at 62.7. Boston at 62, another team that would be getting in that wasn't there last year. The Islanders. And the Kings are at 56.2. They got pumped by Vegas last night. And would you look at the job that Rick Bowness has done, the ultimate fixer of the NHL. Columbus now has a better than 50-50 chance of making the playoffs at 52.7. Teams sort of on the bubble. Ottawa at 40, and the Capitals, who of course were first in the East last year. Sound familiar? They've got a 33%. San Jose's fallen off a bit at 21.5. Nashville's at 20. Florida, you mentioned, 15%. Philly and Toronto at 10. And then the Winnipeg Jets, 5.4%, which I think, to be honest, might be even high. And we can say it's official. A better chance of winning the first pick in the draft at 7.1% than making the playoffs. The only teams with lower playoff odds outside of the Jets: Calgary, Jersey, Chicago, St. Louis, New York, and Vancouver. Vancouver seemingly a lock to be the last place team, which will give them a 25% chance of picking first overall.
Yeah, so I guess we're going to be spinning. We're not quite there yet. We're going to have a lot of time to be spinning the draft lottery simulator at Tankathon. Us
did it last night when I was out watching the games with a friend. Single bullet, first pick, boom, Jets, number 1 pick.
Number 2 on this one, single
Got
bullet.
number 2 overall. We'll take that. We will take that. Number 1 or number 2, Jets and the Rangers. Excellent. So there'll be a lot of draft simming, I'm sure, once the schedule gets together. But right now we're locked in on the Olympics and the NHL at the break. John Matisz is going to join us coming up in just a few minutes. Hey, listen, before we bring in John, looking for a great activity this weekend with friends or the family, head on down to Uptown Alley at 1301 St. Matthews Avenue. Fun for all ages. Tons of 5-pin lanes. They've got 10-pin lanes. A state-of-the-art arcade with some of the coolest and newest games around, and amazing food and beverage options, even just to stop in for a bite if you're in the neighborhood. Now, best place for birthday parties for kids, teens, and adults, and an awesome spot to host a group or corporate event. Their event staff will take care of everything. You just let them know what you want to do, what activities, what you plan on eating, any add-ons, and they will take care of the rest. You can find out more online at uptownalley.ca on all of those group options, 488-0000 to make a reservation. And don't forget, after 9 p.m. every day, that bowl and play special with 90 minutes of bowling and a $10 arcade card for just $20.59. Uptown Alley. Pop by there this weekend. Tell them the boys at Winnipeg Sports Talk sent you. We are focused on Italy right now, which is a far, far away. If you are making a move, not necessarily to Italy, but somewhere in Winnipeg or southern Manitoba, you should be talking to our friends at Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba. Family owned and operated for over 60 years. Head on over to their website at rollys.com. Click on Request an Estimate. Use the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies. Let them know when and where you're moving and what needs to go, and they'll turn it around quickly with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment and service that Rolly's has been famous for now into their seventh decade. For all your moving needs, make it Rolly's Transfer. Find out more today over at rollys.com. I know our friend Dr. Terry and the gang at St. Vital Dental Center are getting ready for the Marbles festivities later on. It has become quite a popular move for WSTers to head on down for a little Friday afternoon dental appointment at St. Vital Dental Center and watch the Marbles as well live while they're getting their teeth worked on by the doc. Of course, St. Vital Dental Center, great supporters of ours. And, they've been serving generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans for all their dental needs. Now have a beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's with convenient free parking right behind the building, taking customers and clients from 6 months to 99 plus with a full array of dental services, literally everything you need from cleanings and checkups to things like dental implants. StVitalDental.ca is where you'll find them. Make an appointment, pop by and tell them that Remo and Huss sent you. And just before we bring in John Matisz, the weekend is here. Many of you might be getting ready for the Super Bowl and popping by your local Manitoba liquor marts. Well, do not forget to check out the Canadian Club displaying Canada's original Canadian whiskey, the best in the biz, Canadian Club, since 1848. You can pick that up. And if you're looking for a little bit of a change up, especially if you're at your beer store, keep an eye out for the 473 milliliter singles of the Canadian Club Cranberry Ginger Ale, which is out in limited edition. Such a big hit around the holidays, might be a big hit at the Super Bowl party as well. Big cheers to all of you for a big weekend coming up from our friends at Canadian Club. All right, let's talk some puck. We got the Olympics coming up, NHL at the break, and our pal John Matisz of The Score joins us. John, what's up, man? Great to have you back on the program. How are you?
Us, it's been a while. What's going on? I was going to say, is this weekend your Super Bowl but it is the Super Bowl. So I guess that answers my question, where this is right up your alley, this football. There might be a couple bets placed, all that good stuff.
I basically spent the last 3 hours heading in on a couple shows doing prop bets and picks for the weekend. And yeah, listen, I'm fired up. It's going to be great. Should be an awesome game. No skin in the game. I've been spoiled by Chiefs being in so often over the last little while. But hey, hopefully we can win some bets and have a great time and finish up the season. And then we get to normally the most depressing day of the year for me. That Monday after the Super Bowl is just the worst. It's freezing out. You got a long time till spring. There's no more football. A little different this year with Olympic hockey, best on best, finally being back this week. And of course, that was a big story yesterday. I'll start off with getting your thoughts on Seth Jarvis being the replacement for Braden Point. We kind of figured out there was probably 5 guys in the mix: Jarvis, Scheifele, Hyman, Wyatt Johnson, Connor Bedard. And it was Jarvis who maybe benefited the most because he was on the Four Nations team last year. They've certainly seemed to go that direction with a number of their decisions so far.
Yeah, like it's pretty obvious, and we saw that with the U.S. team too, where the familiarity is certainly playing a factor here. I looked at the potential replacements for Point a couple of weeks ago when it was sort of up in the air. Is he going to go? Is he not? And I kind of landed on Wyatt Johnston as the replacement. Not necessarily like what I would do or something, but just the way that Doug Armstrong was talking about the team and potential injury replacements at the time of the announcement. He really tried to emphasize, like, we want to replace a certain player type with a guy who plays the same way. And not that Jarvis and Point are completely different players, but I think that Wyatt Johnston is probably a closer comparable to Point. So a little surprising, but at the same time, you mentioned the Four Nations connection. I think that, when I was doing mock rosters ahead of the original announcement for the Olympics, Jarvis was on my Team Canada, both as a projection of what they might do, and then also would he be on my Team Canada. I just think that he brings a crazy amount of versatility. He can play with pace. He's going to outwork the competition. Right-handed shot. There's enough guys on the team that can play center and wing. Like, you don't need another one of those guys. He's a winger. Kills penalties. In a pinch, he ends up on your power play. I probably have him off of my top 13, as you and probably most of your viewers know, but just in case, you can have 13 guys on the bench at the Olympics, 13 forwards versus 12 during Four Nations or regular NHL. So I would probably, the odd man out at this point is probably Jarvis in my mind in terms of building out that, ideal top 13. But nevertheless, and especially when you think about the personality and sort of the vibes he brings, I think that he checks a lot of boxes, especially, this far down the depth chart.
Yeah, no, listen, I mean, obviously around here, people were hoping that Mark Scheifele would get his opportunity. And listen, the guy's the 4th top scorer amongst Canadians. He is top 10 in the league. The team hasn't done well this year, and I don't think that helped his cause. But when it came down to it, why do you think he's been overlooked again?
I don't know. I honestly have a hard time myself trying to wrap my head around, why don't I have him projected on my team either? It's almost one of those things where it's like Mark Scheifele isn't necessarily doing something wrong. It's just the other options seem more tantalizing, or he would not necessarily slide into a role as seamlessly as some other guys. Obviously his defensive game has improved over his career, but there are still some question marks in that area. So, already, Bo Horvat jumps higher up on the list, or, Nick Suzuki, obviously has proved himself worthy of a spot in general. But if we just focus on Horvat as someone who kind of slid in there under the radar, non-Four Nations guy, I'm taking Horvat and, his face-off winning abilities, his clutch scoring over the years, his ability to play center or the wing. I realize that Scheifele can do a lot of these things I'm talking about, but there is something about Scheifele that is just, it's almost like he doesn't do one thing at a super, super elite level. Obviously puts up points.
Except for score.
No, I know, but it's
important.
I understand that, but then there's also, McDavid, McKinnon, there's, a lot of guys that can score in this group, and you could obviously always use more goals. I think that's going to be a real theme with the U.S. team. But I kind of get it when it comes to Scheifele in terms of like you start building out the roster and you go, where does this guy fit in exactly? Would it be a mistake to take him? Absolutely not. But would it be better to take this guy?
You know, I listen, I mean, I understand. I mean, it's such a ridiculous amount of riches that Team Canada has. I mean, every one of these players we're talking about worthy of being there, being in the lineup, could play and could be a difference maker. I just can't help but think for Mark that if he had the opportunity and, you know, say he's moving over the wing and playing with some of the, you know, like the top talent that Canada has to offer, he would be able to absolutely cook in an event like this. I mean, you could probably say that for a number of the players, but particularly for Mark. Now, I mean, listen, they've got some of the best in the world, though, already in those sort of scoring lines, and we know the way that Team Canada puts together their team. It's not taking the top 13 offensive players. They are looking to build in. And I think you're right with Jarvis. I mean, he's an absolute dog on the puck, can play in a checking role, can kill penalties. He's bringing to the table, certainly maybe not the offensive high end, despite the fact that he's got 25 goals, not to diminish that from him. But it does seem like, you know, the word you used, the versatility of Jarvis, I think made him a perfect last guy on the roster because of what may come up over the course of the tournament and things that they have covered off pretty well that maybe are more along the lines of Mark Scheifele's strengths.
Yeah, like, okay, if you compare it to the U.S. team, I think it's actually a really good comparison in terms of if I'm the U.S. team, and let's go back to before they announced the roster, there were no injuries and all that stuff. They had basically a decision between like Cole Caulfield, Jason Robertson, taking one or both of them, or taking Trocheck and Miller, taking one or both of them. They obviously chose Miller and Trocheck. And I thought it was a wrong decision based on the fact that they don't have the high-end scoring that Canada has. Yes, they have Matthews. They have a couple of other guys that are going to produce offense. But I feel like what their need, quote-unquote need, this is obviously, you know, again, an embarrassment of riches, but it was like, who's that one-shot scorer? Who's that shot-making sniper up top? Yes, you have a couple, but you look over at Canada and they've got like 6 or 7. And then so if you flip it over to Canada, it's almost the opposite thing. Again, great problem to have, but I feel like they are stocked really well with the snipers, with the one-shot scorers, that when it comes to their depth, they're looking for versatility. They're looking for, you know, their version of JT Miller, their version of Vincent Trocheck, even though I think that Canada's depth in both versatility and high-end scoring is better than the States. Now, you know, we don't need to talk about the blue line or goalie, right? Let's keep this all positive for Canada. But no, that's kind of how I see it is when you know, kind of look at the full context of these two forward groups, I think you can understand why Scheifele was left off. And then over to the U.S., you sort of start getting your back up on why didn't they take Caulfield? Why didn't they take Robertson? At least one of those guys should be on that team.
Jason Robertson has been absolutely lights out all season long. And listen, I'll make a comparison of Robertson to Scheifele. I mean, there is an element of sort of being in the club with these teams.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
For whatever reason, you know, Mark playing in Winnipeg doesn't get the attention that, you know, a lot of those other players. There might be some sort of out of sight, out of mind, despite the fact that the numbers that he's put up and the success that he's had. And Robertson, I mean, the U.S. is even more interesting because there are guys that are like part of the program.
Yeah.
And I mean, Kyle Connor was a guy that was on the outside looking in for a long, long time. I mean, somehow didn't get picked for the World Juniors. I mean, like, these are things that he was always overlooked and then obviously made the team. And then they made the moronic decision to put him in the press box in the gold medal game with the corpse of Chris Kreider and 20% of Matthew Tkachuk out there, both of which played like 6 minutes of the game, and all of a sudden they're basically down to 10 forwards in a game that one goal would be the difference. And might I remind everyone that Kyle Connor knows a thing or two about scoring goals. So, I mean, there's a lot of politics in this. I mean, when it comes down to it, and, you know, on both teams, I think you can point at a couple of omissions that were they playing in a different spot? If they had a bit of a different background, like nothing changing about the player that they are, they might find themselves on the team.
Well, and let's, you know, if talking about the politics side of it, we don't have the medical records. We're not in the conversation of what's going on with Jack Hughes, but he hasn't been playing for the Devils, but he's going to the Olympics, you know, barring any news over the next couple of days. And it's like, is this just, you know, Bill Guerin going, we picked you, and if you mentally are ready to come, then, come on board. Whereas Canada has taken, I guess, the proactive approach, if you will, where Cirelli and Point, hey, we went up to the 11th hour, but like, I don't know who made the decision technically, but like, obviously they're leaving these guys behind, even though they could probably take them. It's not like these guys are going to LTIR, right? So it is interesting from that perspective too, is like the philosophy of USA Hockey versus the philosophy of Hockey Canada, or maybe it's just the GMs, Bill Guerin versus Doug Armstrong, where it's like at some point Canada says you're not going to be at 100% or 75%. We just can't take you. You got to stay back. Whereas I feel like the US is, I don't know if they're like catering to Jack Hughes because he's one of their marquee players, but it feels a little risky to be just like bringing on a guy who's clearly hurt and saying, we'll figure it out.
Well, I'm here for it as a Canada guy because, I was in the Garden last year for those games in Boston, and Jack Hughes got hit a couple times and was invisible the rest of the time. He was not impactful at all for Team USA. So, listen, you got to live with the decisions that you've made, but I think that if, either Doug Armstrong or Bill Guerin does not win a gold medal, there'll be an inquiry as to the decision making, just because the stakes are so damn high.
Well, and it's interesting from like we were talking about the familiarity with Four Nations roster. Like, if you're putting yourself in the shoes of those GMs and those coaches, because obviously John Cooper and Mike Sullivan have had big voices in these decisions, like you get it from the perspective of like, I've not only like gotten to know this player as a person, but I've gotten to know like what he can do on the ice when he's under my watch. That's incredibly valuable, but it goes too far maybe sometimes where, you got that bias of just knowing what you have, but there's also other things out there that are probably better, and you're sort of like clouded by that. And it also, with the U.S. team at least, it relates back to the World Championships, right? They've put such an emphasis on, if you do not go to the World Championships and your team is out of the playoffs, like you're eligible to go, you're knocked down a peg. Like, sorry. Whereas in Canada, Nick Suzuki's barely played for Canada at the Worlds, maybe once or twice, even though he's had the chance multiple times. And although it's been, a minor issue in discussions with Suzuki, it doesn't just exclude him in the way that say Cole Caulfield has seemingly been excluded with USA Hockey. So it's interesting, those philosophies of like having these sort of hard and fast rules versus having some flexibility with this whole familiarity and like play for your country thing.
Well, listen, I do think it's tough for being in Winnipeg. Like, I'll say this right now. If Nick Suzuki was on the Jets and Mark Scheifele was on the Habs, I'm not sure that Mark Scheifele's not on the team. But again, there's a lot of politics. Feel for him, but we'll be pulling for the guys on our team. As far as the team goes, the biggest question has all along been goaltending. There many people that I respect, I have asked this question to, and they think that Jordan Binnington gets the start. There's no way they can throw Binner out as the number one, can they?
There is, because I think they're going to do that, right? So
what?
Yeah, that's I know, insane. It's insane. But I think it, at least from my perspective, not having inside knowledge, but sort of reading between the lines, it seems like he'll have a short leash. Like, first game's against Czechia. That's a pretty good, kind of measuring stick game where, okay, if he really flounders, if he's a real problem in net, you just go to Logan Thompson the next game and it's his net till he loses it. Like, I think that's the way they should attack it within the context of like, they're clearly attached to Binnington in general. Like, Doug Armstrong, when he talked about it at the press conference when they named the roster, he acknowledged that Binnington hasn't had a good season, but he kind of threw his own team under the bus where he's like, hey, listen, the defense in front of him has been terrible. And, we love his resume. And the most interesting note he made, Armstrong, was he said, within the discussion of naming this roster, picking the three goalies, it never came up that they shouldn't take Binnington. Like, it was just penciled in there. Is he going to be the starter, backup, third guy? Obviously from the beginning, that's been a bit of a question. But him being on the team was like almost as near certainty from day one. So that shows how much faith they have in him. And like, let's face it, he was phenomenal in the Four Nations face-off final. Like, we can't take that away from him. And it's not like there's Martin Brodeur and, Curtis Joseph as the other two goalies. So I get it, but I think that they should have a really short leash with him.
He let a sketchy one in every one of those games at the Four Nations. Now, he made some obscene saves that saved them from losing in overtime. And listen, that's important and we all appreciate it. But to me, you put your best lineup forward to start the tournament. I watched Logan Thompson last night in that Caps game. It was ridiculous. I mean, he's playing at such a high level right now. Play your best players. If things don't go well, pull Binnington out of the bullpen with a chip on his shoulder after being the third string goalie and see if he can get on a run. But I mean, I don't want them to throw Binner out in the first game and have him suck and then lose to Czechia and then all of a sudden be playing catch up because they made a dumb choice in net in game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so if we're talking what Canada will do versus what Canada should do, if we talk about the should do part of it, I think I'm sort of the same mind as you are, where you put your best goalie out there. Logan Thompson, it's a 2-year sample here where he's been the best Canadian goalie. Like it's not this blip on the radar at this point.
And it's not close.
No, so he's the guy if you're going strictly by performance last 2 years. I think Kemper's just such a how do I put it? Just such a third guy in this scenario. I don't know. I feel like his ceiling is not very high in terms of what he's going to do for you. So not the worst third stringer in terms of you could have worse options, and there are teams in the tournament that have worse options. But I feel like he's more of a break in case of emergency situation. So I would go Logan Thompson to start. And obviously you're going to work another goalie in there. I think you should in those 3 preliminary games. So maybe against Switzerland, you put Binnington out there with sort of the plan that Logan Thompson's your guy until he's not. But you don't want Binnington to be maybe sitting around too much, or even Thompson. You don't want him playing back-to-back games. I mean, they are literally, I think it's 27 hours apart or something, those first 2 games. So they are going to use 2 goalies there. So I think it probably makes more sense to see what Thompson has in the tank, or what he can sort of provide on the international stage in that tough test against Czechia. And then you've got Switzerland for Binnington. And you got to go from there, but probably go back to Thompson because he should be your guy.
Yeah, with the third game is against the French, which should be a bit of a cakewalk. And that now, do you know what's the format like once they get through these 3 games?
Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it's top seeds go to the quarters in the 3 different groups. And then there's a sort of a qualifying round for the rest of the seeds. I believe that's how it works.
So that's who they play in. But basically, the bottom line is once you get through those first 3, it's win in advance, lose, and go home. So the stakes will be incredibly high. You could kind of feel the Olympic spirit last night between Tampa and Florida.
Oh yeah.
How about that, Brandon Hagel?
Yeah.
Listen, we don't see a ton of him. He was great last year in the tournament. I mean, he's turned into one of these amazing players. We were going through his story last night. He was drafted by Buffalo. They never signed him.
Yep.
And then he was a late pick by Chicago, a Western Canadian guy from the WHL, and then ends up getting traded for 2 guys that I think were both first-round picks and 2 first-round picks. Part of it is that he had a year left on his deal, $1.5 million, and it fit in with Tampa. But he's turned into a star, and the fight he showed going after Tkachuk the way he did last night, I mean, I was ready to put the red and white on and run through a wall last night, and those guys aren't even in Milan yet.
Yeah, part of me is like, John Cooper must be just holding his breath now. He's already lost Cirelli in point. Is he going to lose Hagel here? Let me tell you a quick story about Hagel in terms of my experience at the Four Nations Face-Off last year. I was in Montreal, and you know how it works, Huss. You're trying to plan content, and in my head, I told my editor at the time, hey, I want to write about an unsung hero in Canada, but we just got to kind of hope that this guy breaks out. I'm going to go talk to players about him and then hope he breaks out. And if it doesn't work out, then I probably waste my time. But let's try to do that. Let's introduce this unknown player. And it ended up being, unknown, quote unquote. It ended up being Hagel, obviously, because the three fights in 9 seconds, he was part of the first fight against Tkachuk. So the day before that happened, I was in the Canadian dressing room, and he was right beside Brad Marchand, and massive scrum, huge, to the point where I had to point at him and give him a thumbs up, can we talk? And he sort of got out of the scrum and made a joke about how he hasn't been, asked to talk at all throughout the process of being named to Canada. And then we chatted about his story, as you mentioned, and just like, what's it like to be among, the best in the game, even though, in Tampa, he's got Kucherov and he, was on pace for, 90 points. It's not like this guy's an absolute nobody, but like quite the moment to turn over. And there's, Crosby, who you looked up to, etc. And he was kind of like, just, he called it surreal. He called sort of his path where he went from this guy in the WHL that no one wanted to, give any time to or any NHL contract to an impact player to he's on Canada's team at the Four Nations. The whirlwind of that was massive. So I talked to him, and then the next day he is the star of Canada in terms of he fights Tkachuk and he's doing the sort of WWE, pump up after with the crowd and, continues for the rest of the tournament to make an impact as this kind of dogged winger that can also put up some points and is just a needle in the opponent's side the whole time. So he's really fascinating in terms of like, being a Brad Marchand type player, but is younger and, so he has a little more juice in him. And it's just the moment doesn't seem very big when he gets in those situations. And, to circle back on that Stadium Series fight last night, or not Stadium Series, but fight against the Panthers last night, like he could have looked the other way. He didn't need to fight. He's about to go to the Olympics, but he took it upon himself to stick up for Nikita Kucherov, who the Lightning obviously do not want fighting, and said, okay, Tkachuk, let's do this again. And here we are.
I mean, it was just such quintessential Tkachuk bullshit on the play too. Like if you saw it, he does this big long lap through the neutral zone and then just smokes Kucherov from behind and then just sort of stands there. And, good on Hagel. I mean, when he saw who it was, I think he literally just thought, all right, we're in Milan right now.
Yep.
I mean, that won't be happening. I mean, obviously there won't be fighting because guys will be getting kicked out. So we'll see it. Here's another one for you. When Canada throws their lineup out for game number 1, who's playing with McDavid?
So I think you got to consider Hagel. Actually, okay, let's start with the right wing. I think Reinhart might be the right guy. I like him on McDavid's wing as sort of...
I think they started that way last year in the Four Nations and then kind of moved off of it.
Yeah, like I like the idea of him. He can keep pace. He's really good defensively, and he can snipe, those passes from McDavid. So I like that. So let's start with that. The left side is super interesting. Like, I mean, my dream scenario is that Celebrini plays there. I want to see Celebrini really high in the lineup. And he's got the finishing ability and the mind to play with Reinhart and McDavid. Like, I think that if Canada wants to go sort of nuclear option, if you will, without, actually going, McKinnon, Crosby, McDavid, if they want to do the second level of nuclear option, one rung below, I think it's Celebrini, McDavid, and Reinhart. But you could make a case for Horvat on that left wing, or Hagel, or even Marchand. Like I just see so many options. The left side is really interesting, where you've got a bunch of sort of workman-like players. Like I would even consider Celebrini to be that type of guy in terms of the puck battles he wins and the effort he puts and the backtracking and just sort of the overall well-rounded game he brings. So there's almost no wrong answer, even though we did see a bunch of players play with McDavid last year. Like it kind of doesn't make sense when you think about, okay, everyone should be able to play with him. But, that just wasn't the case. So we'll see what happens. That first game might not be what things look like in the medal round. But what do you think? What do you think, Huss? Celebrini, McDavid, Reinhart?
I would love to see Celebrini. The other guy that, I haven't talked about that I would be really intriguing, at least to see for a game if it fit, is Tom Wilson. You talk about a guy that's very different from those other players. Big net front presence. I mean, the physicality. And I mean, like, dude cleans up in front of the net as well as anybody in the league. And I'm very interested to see where he fits in. Listen, I know you got a heart out. Very quickly, I declared 2 days ago officially that we would have a new Stanley Cup champion and eliminated the Florida Panthers from the playoffs. Am I premature? Or are you with me that they are toast?
I'm with you. I don't know who that Stanley Cup winner is. Obviously, the smart money's on Colorado, but like that Western Conference is an absolute gauntlet. So does Colorado make it through? I don't know. and Tampa looks so good. No, I think you're totally on point there, Hustler. Like, I think, what's that saying? Like, it got late early. Like, even though we're like 50 games in the season, I feel like it's gotten late early with the Panthers, where it's like, it's nice to keep giving them the benefit of the doubt, but it's like the hill seems to be too steep to climb. Even if they make the playoffs, they're going to come in all banged up and just not enough sort of juice left.
Hey, dude, listen, I'll let you go. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl and the start. And hopefully, if you got some time, we can get back together in the next couple of weeks and talk about the Olympics as it actually goes on.
Sounds great. Have a good one.
Okay, thanks, John. There's John Matisz. You can check out all of his work over at thescore.com with us here on WST, talking a little Olympics and the NHL at the break. By the way, and we'll hit on this in the Cool Bet lines later on, but diddling on Jake, Pat, and Evdog, and all new updated NHL futures are up right now. If you want to dive into that at some point, although I know our focus is going to be on those Olympic hockey games coming up soon. Hey, listen, Jeff Hamilton's going to join us in a couple minutes. Don't forget, gang, to get your tickets for the St. Boniface Hospital Mega Million Choices Lottery. You could be Manitoba's next millionaire. Grand prize options, 1 of 5. $1.5 million dream homes, or $1.25 million cash tax free. Now, that's just the grand prize. If you get your tickets before next Thursday, you'll be in for the ultimate bonus prizes worth over $140,000, including a prize for a trip to see the World Cup in Vancouver. Tickets, flight, hotel to the World Cup, $2,000 cash to spend while you're in Vancouver, a prize valued well over $10,000. And considering the price of tickets, especially for Canada's games, even more incredible. That deadline for the ultimate bonus is February 12th. So get on that. You'll be in for another $280,000 of early bird prizes. And again, it is all to support the incredibly important work and research at the St. Boniface Hospital. Go to stbmillion.choices.ca or pick up tickets in person at London Drugs or Red River Co-op locations. Want to thank Princess Auto for their support of WST. Big day for Winnipeg yesterday with, obviously, unfortunately not Mark Scheifele, but one of our own, Seth Jarvis, getting named to the team. Princess Auto, synonymous with Winnipeg as well, founded and headquartered right here in the Peg, and now serving Canadians coast to coast with the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new waiting for you at Princess Auto. So pop by and see them in store today or shop online 24/7, 365 over at princessauto.com. Got to shout out our friends at Chud's Power Sports. I know Derminator and the gang, they'll be ready for the marble race, and they're already making the most of winter right now. When you got 80 years in the business as Manitoba's ultimate power sports superstore, you've been through this before. And, of course, that's why they've got incredible snow day deals right now on Polaris sleds, great deal on Arctic cats as well. And as we get ready for ice fishing season, the best in ice fishing shacks and more. You can see right there the Arctic Cat Tag Green Tag sales event is underway right now. And, of course, the best in ATVs, tractors, bikes, RVs as you get ready for the spring. Chud's has it all with the best and most experienced staff to get you the best deal on the best rig for whatever you're nearing. Don't forget there's a winter clear out right now on bikes for the upcoming waves, and they'll do it all for you. You got to see them in person. Great folks at Chud's in Gimli, corner of Highway 8 and 231. Check them out online at chudspowersports.com. Top right corner, you'll see that e-commerce store link. Amazing, amazing clearance deals on gear and accessories as well at their sister site, truenorthparts.ca. And just before we bring in Hammer, it's warming up a little bit, but there still is more of the winter to get through. If you got battery issues with your car, what are you waiting for? Let Donnie and the gang at Manitoba Battery take care of that for you with the best in customer service and the lowest prices in town, period. Stop wasting your time at the big box stores when you can get the best price and the best service and shop local at the same time at Manitoba Battery. Pop by and see him. Logan Avenue, Dovercourt Drive, or order online at manitobabattery.com. They will be able to deliver batteries as well if you can't make it out anywhere inside the perimeter of Winnipeg. All right, we had Hammer a second ago. Remo's Jeff. Oh, no, there he's back. He's back. I just lost his screen for a little bit. Let's welcome in my pal, Jeff Hamilton from the Winnipeg Free Press, my running mate down in Costa Rica. And, geez, you look older today. Well, you just had a birthday.
Older.
Happy birthday. You don't actually look older. You still look about 27. But congratulations on the big day. Great time hanging with you and your twin bro, Bryce, in Costa Rica. How was the big day when you came back celebrating the big birthday?
Yeah, thanks. So I guess I should mention it was my big 4-0. So I did spend my final days of my 30s with you, Huss, and what you mentioned was an awesome group down there. Got home. Actually, I was feeling a little bit, as maybe at first I thought it was just a bad case of depression, right, Huss, to come home from such a great trip, but turned out it was a little bit of a bug. So I've been dealing with a little bit of sickness this week. I did manage to get out to Thermea for my birthday, which was awesome. But I've just been kind of dealing with a bug. I think a lot of people I've talked to seem to be dealing with the same thing. But no, feeling good. Looking forward to, and I'm glad I'm getting this out of the way for the big game on Sunday. Right, that's what I'm mostly focused on. My best friend Ev turned. He's a year younger than me, so he didn't quite turn the 4-0. Happy birthday to him! It's his birthday today, so we always celebrate. Through the Super Bowl. So looking forward to that game and looking forward to getting healthier here.
Well, and just quickly, I mean, shout out to the Cool Bet guys. What an amazing trip that was. Hopefully we'll be able to put it together again for next year and bring another listener. And not only do we get to do some great stuff, stayed at a great hotel, saw some really cool things in and around San Jose. I got a chance to meet and hang with your twin too. You think one Hammer is enough? You should see the tag team of the Hammers together. But it was great to hook up with Bryce as well. What an amazing time we had.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Bryce was such a great addition. Bryce loves having a good time, and certainly wanted to join because of our milestone birthday. So yeah, he was such a great addition. Greg as well, who we know. Better obviously than I do, but both me and my brother knew, Greg through different streams. To have him with the group, that was awesome as well. And so just made for an awesome group. And then, shout out to our boys Dre and Elfie down there, right? Two local boys.
Yes.
Who are also from Winnipeg that kind of completed the group. So like I said, I felt it. I thought it was a little bit depression on the way on coming home, but it was a little bit more than that. But it was tough to say goodbye to everybody on what was such a great trip. And to your point, Huss, I mean, to Cool Bet and what they brought for us. I mean, it was awesome to do a show out there and recap some stuff for CFL, but just their support. I mean, what an awesome opportunity. I'd especially, they're going to be doing this tournament yearly. I to anybody who loves playing poker, it was a great tournament. And for Cool Bet to provide us with that opportunity.
Yeah, and Hammer's now a permanent fixture of the poker crew, and we will have the bounty on my head, on Remis's head, and Jeff Hamilton's head moving forward. We'll probably do something one of the day, like maybe in a couple weeks before the hockey starts up again, and then we'll set up a new schedule for the monthly game that if you haven't joined us and you do enjoy playing online poker, you'll definitely want to join us and win those extra $100 if you can take any of us out. Jeff, let's get into, I want to talk a little hockey and Olympics and Super Bowl with you, but for folks that missed it, no days off for us, especially working with Coolbet is such a great supporter of ours on Winnipeg Sports Talk and for CFL 110. When all that news was breaking while we were out at Henry's on Sunday afternoon, we figured we should fire something up. We did do about a half-hour special edition of CFL 110 on Monday, recapping the big moves that the Bombers made, the losses of the Riders, Ottawa, some of the big stuff from the weekend. It all happened quickly. It's been a little quieter through the rest of the week. I mean, just wanted to. I mean, no one's got a better pulse on what's happening around the CFL than you. What are you hearing around the week, and what should we expect as we get into the official opening of free agency next week?
Yeah, as you mentioned, obviously things were fast and furious. It was early on, early in day one. A lot of the damage, if you will, was done for certain teams. You had people already announcing the winners of free agency, right? Free agency hadn't even started. This is still the week of negotiating deals. These aren't even finalized till the week's over, right? So I mean, to me, it was fast and furious. I do think, again, the teams that knew what they wanted to do went out and got it done. People have a dollar point. Teams have a dollar point. Players have a dollar point, and teams have needs. I mean, you saw the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, particularly the Ottawa Red Blacks. I was about to call them the Ottawa Rough Riders there, Huss, because of how many players they had taken from Saskatchewan on that first day. But you had a lot of those moves, and I think teams are now kind of figuring things out, right? They're letting some of, because the names that left are the big names, right? We just had Wynton McManus just leave. He'd been released earlier by Toronto and signed with the team that he was speculated to sign with, that being the Hamilton Tiger Cats, right? They were able to make it official because of that release from Toronto. So that was kind of the one piece that was still kind of hanging in the balance, wondering where he was going to go. So a lot of those top tier guys are already gone, right? I mean, we're gone within the first 48 hours. And you also have to take into consideration a lot of the top tier guys that are already on teams were getting re-signed, right? I think you're seeing that more and more these days. You're seeing less and less big name guys leave their teams. Those teams are, whether it's the, Keon Hatcher and BC Lions, or, Lawler, even he redid his deal. Like, those guys are all kind of getting comfortable with their team. So, you see some of the bigger names. Yeah, they're bigger names, but they're not necessarily the names that have been dominating year to year, right? Like, they're just names because they're available. A lot of the big names, a lot of the big producers on each team that business, if it hadn't already been taken care of the year before, was being taken care of in the weeks and months leading up to this open window.
Yeah, we'll recap and do another CFL 110 edition kind of once we get into free agency and sort of the dust settles. And with the Jets off, I know that the Bombers will be announcing some of these signings. The next couple of weeks going to be a fun time. I really do want to get some of the top young guys on the Moose to come on and talk about their season. And we'll also be looking at some of the new signings for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to get on the program as well. Hey, I guess while we're talking about football, Hacksaw is going to come on in a few minutes. Where are you at on this Super Bowl? And have you been spraying the board over at Coolbet like I have on all these prop bets as we get ready for our final game of the season?
I haven't pulled the trigger on anything, but I've spent the last few days looking at it. I'm Seahawks all the way. I don't know, all the shows I've been listening to, all the expert analysis seems to point and trend towards that direction. I'm with a lot of people. I'm not ready. Now, I'm not angry that the Patriots are back in the Super Bowl so quickly after the Tom Brady era. I feel like I'm more perturbed, if you will, that Brady won't acknowledge the Pats as the team he's cheering for. I find myself more focused on that narrative than any angst of the Patriots kind of being back. I just look at Sam Darnold, and I love a good story, right? I look at what the Vikings could have had and don't, and now I look at what Seattle's done all year, and why not complete that? I honestly, though, at the same time, Huss, I think it's a win-win from a narrative story. Like, yeah, a lot of people are going to be mad if the Pats return and to the glory land, but what a story that is, right? What a shift and not even necessarily a huge shift in culture from Belichick, but the fact that they've moved on from those stalwarts and now here they are back, right? I love the story around Stephon Diggs, right? I mean, he helped me out in fantasy this year as a late selection, and just to kind of see some of his, that confidence come through, I don't mind that storyline. But when I look at the pieces here, man, I just look at Seattle as the obvious pick. I feel, and maybe this is the ultimate opportunity for New England to shove it down everyone's throats and talk about how, you might thought the difficulty of schedule was easy or whatever. This is the big test for them, but I just see them falling here, and I'm hoping for a Seattle win. I'm going to be wearing a Seattle Seahawks t-shirt. If that says anything. I'm
with you. I'm with you as well. And again, we'll kind of dive into the lines later on. After Hacksaw jumps on with us. But the line right now, it had been 4.5 throughout most of the week. Coolbet right now, it's gone back to 4.
Oh, really?
So if you've been sort of waiting for a time to get in on Seattle or the Seahawks on the spread, might be a good time to do exactly that. If you want to get it to 3.5, minus 120 right now, and the 4.5 is at minus 104. But total at 45.5. And again, we spent an hour doing a little bit of a prop draft with myself, Connor, Jake, and Pat. That's up on the YouTube channel, which you can take in whenever you want. Make sure to check out the Coolbet socials. They've got a couple great promos right now. And we'll remind you on that how you can double your bonus up to 60% when we do the Coolbet lines at the end of the program. Olympic hockey, but just a quick thought on the Jets. We haven't talked a lot of Jets today. I think we needed a bit of a break. I was in a very cantankerous mood after the game on Wednesday with it out, but they are where they are. If anyone was holding out much hope, I think that loss on Wednesday probably convinced them that it is next year time. How do you look at these 3 weeks off for the Jet front office in those first 5 games before the trade deadline, considering the pretty clear position that this team is in when it comes to very faint playoff hopes?
So you've been pretty public about your declaration against the Panthers, right? Of a new Stanley. Have you
They're done.
Have you written the obit for Winnipeg yet, or are you still?
Oh yeah, I wrote the obit. That was on New Year's Day.
Okay, that was New Year's Day. Okay, sorry, my mistake. So you made this a long time ago. I wasn't sure where you were at. I think you take this 3 weeks, Hudson. You have to take it. You got to look towards next year. I don't know, whatever that looks like. And the thing is that I don't think the narrative changes, right? I don't think that, whether you want to scoff at the reports that the Winnipeg Jets are in the market to buy, right? To buy players at the deadline here, they're not going to be buying the guys who are going to be making, who are looking for the Stanley Cup this year. They're going to be buying guys who have term on them. That's always been kind of Winnipeg's way, right? If there's an available player here and they have term and they can make the team better, that's always been a factor for this team. And it's especially important, of course, when you have to look beyond this year. I think that the challenging thing is figuring out defeat here in a lot of ways, right? Because think about how the season started. Started with a huge celebration of signing Jonathan Toews, bringing season ticket holders down to Canada Life Center and having this big spectacle, right? People, reporters, media talking about it was the most important signing of this franchise's life since their relocation from Atlanta, right? So now you got to debate whether or not Jonathan Toews should be on your roster past March 5th trade deadline. And I think that needs to be a serious consideration. I'm not saying if Jonathan Toews isn't traded, it's somehow, derelict of duty by Kevin Cheveldayoff. Not at all. But I do think that conversation needs to be had here. I don't think you're having that conversation in the games leading up to this break, as frustration is kind of maybe, I don't even know if frustration was boiling at that point. They were playing a bit better hockey, but clearly don't want to talk about leaving a team when you're still trying to fight for a playoff spot as a player. So obviously Jonathan Toews, Logan Stanley, no secret here, right? You're not, all of a sudden his value, and he scores, right before the break too. No, not right before, 2 games before, but anyway, his value's gone up. So now what do you do with him, right? If you don't want to sign him to what apparently has to be if you can't convince him to take what would be a team-friendly deal, apparently at $4 million a season or so, then you're probably trading him. So, those conversations need to be had. Those, negotiations need to be had. And then obviously all the UFAs, right? Gustav Nyquist, finally, did he get that goal, Huss? I feel like it was back.
We're still waiting.
It was still I feel like there was I remember reading a headline that was kind of exciting, maybe he set up the winner. Anyway, someone was talking positively about
when
him.
we were gone, he made a sweet play, I think in the Florida game.
Yeah, that was it. Set it up. Yeah, set
but
up.
Again, it's still a goose egg in the goal category.
So him, Tanner Pearson, all these players who are clearly not going to be part of the future plans and shouldn't be part of the present plans either. They need to be thought of. But I'd go a step further, Huss. I think you need to listen to all opportunities. I'm not saying that this is the moment that you need to be tearing your team apart, but if someone's calling about Cole Perfetti and you're not convinced about his future with the team or, other players, like I think you need to have open ears here. Obviously the Jets are looking for a retool, and they're going to have the opportunity for that with the players they're going to see, leave. But also I think you need to think about what these next few months mean to your organization. If we're all going to kind of live in reality here and make the suggestion that the Jets aren't going to be, what's that stat that came out? I think there's 3 teams that have been out since February 1st, 8 points out in the history of the league that have come back. So if we're all working under the understanding here that this team's not making the playoffs, what does that mean for the kids that are playing on the Moose, right? What does it mean for their development, to them coming? Can you fast? Because I don't think this is a lost season, even if you don't make the playoffs, so long as you treat it the best way possible moving forward. And in doing that, I think it includes bringing these guys up and putting them in NHL games, seeing what you have from them, doing much like you did in what season was that? The 14-15 season, where it was just like handed the keys to young guys. This is like a smaller version of it, but bring up all these kids and have them play and see what they can do. Maybe they make things exciting, down the stretch. I think that's, got to be the focus.
The funny thing
here
is that things are really clicking for the Moose right now. And unlike the last couple seasons, they're not just playing out the stretch in last place. I mean, they are moving forward. Now, I do think that will happen, but I think there'll also be a focus on getting these guys into the playoffs and hopefully having a nice run in the Calder Cup playoffs to give them some playoff experience. But, Braden Yeager, Brad Lambert, Nikita Chibrikov, amongst others. I know
Colby Barlow, like those, yeah.
Yeah, well, Barlow, Barlow, I'm not sure. I do think there has to be an element of playing at a certain level to earn that spot. And
sure,
that I think is up in the air. But I think it'll give us, particularly during this Olympic break, a chance to really focus in on the Moose and where they're at right now, where these individuals are at. And I think a word has to be had with those young men that there's going to be a spot or two opening up. And you know what? If you want to be at the front of that list, continue to raise your level of game and help this team win right now. And there could be a carrot at the end of the season. I mean, I'm with you. To me, there's 2 significant assets on expiring contracts. Obviously, Logan Stanley, and I would say Jonathan Toews as well. Very key, and we talked about this with Pagnotta a couple of weeks ago. Not only what those players bring as players, but the other thing that I think could really help the return for the Winnipeg Jets on those guys is their contracts. I mean, Stanley's making $1 million, Toews making $2 million. The Jets have paid all the bonuses, so if he is dealt, it'll be a very easy contract, comparatively easy to fit into the mix. Stanley, they can do whatever they want with him. Toews would have to okay it, and I know they wouldn't. I mean, with what he's done, the relationship, I think they had, the trust they had with him coming here, they're going to work with him. If there's a spot that he wants to go, I think they'll work towards doing that. So we'll see. And then, I still have questions. I mean, the guys that you mentioned before, Tanner Pearson, Gustav Nyquist, I mean, my big question is there a taker for those guys? Is there anyone that will give you something for them, that would want them in there? That will be find out. But to me, what's interesting that we haven't talked a lot about is some of the players on term. Niederreiter's got 1 more year. I love Alex Iafallo. I hope he doesn't go, but I think he would be a player that would be of interest to some other teams with the style of play. And then there's Dylan DeMello. And I mean, I'm of the opinion that the Jets need to upgrade that partner for Josh Morrissey. He's got 2 years left. He's played, with Morrissey in a top pairing role for the last few years, making almost $5 million. I'm very interested in what his value would be. But also, I mean, they really like him. He does have some contract stability. He's got a history with Morrissey. But, some of those players that, actually have a little bit of term, I do wonder. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at this group, there's some guys that aren't going anywhere. Other than that, to me, I think everything should be on the table. And if there's a way to get more picks, more prospects, more assets for the Winnipeg Jets, and maybe open up a little bit more of a path for some new blood to be in this lineup, if I'm in that GM's chair, that's something I'm absolutely exploring.
Yeah, I'd go a step further. I don't know. I'm not trying to suggest any headlines or anything like that, but I mean, what is the future of this organization? What is the future of this team? I mean, you didn't win anything with the leadership core that you currently have. and you've committed to this leadership core for years to come in what will be arguably not their best years. So I'm not saying shop Mark Scheifele, who's playing some of the best hockey he's played in his career, shop Kyle Connor, who you just had a new deal with. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Josh Morrissey as his contract comes to an end and whatnot. I think you have to ask yourself what the future looks like, and you have to do a real big look. I mean, I think the Jets have painted themselves into a bit of a corner in that they can't really get rid of their stars. But I do think, to your point, like it's not just the UFAs, it's anybody whose contract is up. I think you do need to change this team up a little bit, and you do need to bring in some new blood and energy. But that doesn't seem to be the point here, the focus here, Hudson. And I think that is the really interesting part, right? Like, this was supposed to be the Winnipeg Jets window, right? Like, not window to get into the playoffs and maybe do some damage, like their window to win. They won the President's Trophy last year, and here they are hovering near the bottom of the standings. That needs to put the entire thing under a microscope. And so, maybe it's a one-off and it's, they're closer to what the team they were last season, but what if they're not? And I think that needs to be something that's seriously considered, and probably something more for the off season than for these next 3 weeks here. But I do think, to your point, some of those moves can be made. I mean, Neil Pionk, Dylan DeMello, like guys of those stature around the team who've been with the organization for a long time. How much longer do they need to be? And do they need to be here? And if there is, it's not just selling them off for nothing, for change. What might be the appetite, amongst other teams and their services? Those are things I think need to be at least listened to.
Yeah, well, listen, we'll have plenty of time as things get back to it. And the schedule resumes to obsess over all of this. We haven't mentioned Luke Schenn. I mean, as I say, you hear the name Schenn out there quite a bit, and he's got the reputation, he's got the rings. Listen, they paid a crazy price to get him last year. It hasn't worked out. If there's any taker for Luke Schenn, you got to just feel that as found money, I think, and move
Absolutely.
forward. So anyways, that's sort of the Jet story right now, which won't really change over the course of the next couple of weeks, but could change significantly as we get closer to the deadline. Before we go, Seth Jarvis is going to the Olympics. Mark Scheifele overlooked again. Why do you think Mark's on the outside looking in again? There's certainly his offense has been there. I think probably the nod goes to Jarvis, maybe on the versatility and what he can bring maybe towards the bottom of the lineup if he gets into the lineup as to where he'll be. But there's also part of me that feels, and I said this to John Matisz, if Mark Scheifele was on the Habs and Nick Suzuki's on Winnipeg, I'm not sure whether it's reversed. How much of this is on him just kind of being on the outside, maybe not in the club, wasn't on the Four Nations team? Because, certainly based on the body of work, I think a lot of people look at this and what he's done this season again and go, how is this guy not on Team Canada?
Yeah, it's a great question. It makes you think, what if the Jets were first place? Would that make a difference?
Wouldn't hurt.
If the Jets were back to being, in that fight for the top of the Central Division after winning the President's Trophy, would that...
Although he wasn't there, he didn't make it last year when they were in that situation.
But again, if he was performing and they were, it almost feels like, well, he's one of the best players on the best team in the NHL, right? It just feels like one of those even harder to imagine situations. Like, I don't know, Huss. Like, to me, I think, there's a lot of the same reasons that I think, that you picked Sam Bennett. I think Sam Bennett was everybody's first player, right? Like, Sam Bennett won the Stanley Cup. He was the Stanley Cup MVP. He had such a great tournament at Four Nations. He embodied what Canadian hockey is. So, I think everybody assumed that he would be the first guy. And then, obviously when it became a Brady Point thing and Scheifele was again on the outside looking in, you're wondering, okay, like, at this point, Huss, like, is it personal? Like, is it just like, and by what I mean by personal is, like, there's a lot of reputations in hockey, right? You see on social media, and they talk about, how, Mark has a bit of a reputation for being whiny to the officials. Like, do I think that played a role into it? Probably not. But, it's kind of like a little bit of a country club, right? Like, Hockey Canada, they all know each other. Like, everybody, even players. And I'm not saying that Sidney Crosby doesn't like Mark Scheifele. I'm sure he does. But, like, those guys have say, right? Like, there's people who have say. So I don't know. Maybe Mark doesn't have enough people from the in crowd, like I have no idea. But at this point, like, I mean, if it's not his play, then what is it? So, maybe we'll find out more answers to that question. But at the same point, right, the same conversation, it's not like he's being taken, Seth Jarvis is a great player. He's a younger player. He's a better defensive player. Who knows? Maybe he has a better personality. We all know how Seth Jarvis is a really outgoing guy, right? Maybe that dynamic to the room is important, right? I heard Elliot Freeman talk about that on his podcast, about how, certain voices and certain energies are valued in the room. That wasn't in the context of Mark. That was more in the context of Seth Jarvis.
It might be, though.
But it could be, you know what I mean? Mark isn't a media friendly guy. He's not a market. Albeit he's not a marketable guy because he's not really a talker. Like, he doesn't really like doing media, doesn't like doing that stuff. Now, is that the reason he didn't make Team Canada? Absolutely not. Like, they're not looking for the most charismatic players. But I think, in all those, I do think it's some of the points made earlier in that he's older, right? Like, this would be his last Olympics. He wouldn't make the next Olympics. He wasn't on the Four Nations. He's, we don't really see him, go up and down the lineup like you would like a Seth Jarvis. Seth Jarvis has played on the top 9 throughout the season, has performed, right? Mark Scheifele is glued to Kyle Connor's side. So does that play into it, right? Like, I don't know, but clearly you have a checklist here of things that you might think about. But then at the end of the day, these are incredible players. So it's not like, is it really that big of a controversy if Mark Scheifele gets in over Seth Jarvis or Seth Jarvis over Mark Scheifele? Like, not really. So to me, it's an unfortunate thing for Mark. But, I think if you're a Jets fan, you're hoping that, that this continues to motivate him because, and I hate this idea that like, oh, he could have just packed it in. Like, what does that even mean, right? Like, no, that's stupid. But he clearly took that as motivation and performed, and hopefully he can be continued to be motivated by this as well.
Yeah, the question is as to whether the team or members of the team pack it in March and April once things get going throughout the post deadline. But I think some significant moves and opening up some spots for some of the young guys from the Moose will come and bring some juice to the lineup, and whether they're winning games or not, going out, putting forward professional efforts, having individuals grow from these opportunities is going to be something that we'll be focusing on. I think will be good for the team in the long run. Hammer, once again, happy birthday. Great hanging you for a week. Have an awesome weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl, and may the winners be yours when you get over to Coolbet and start firing for the big game.
Yeah, here's to all the happy bettors out there. Best of luck. It's the best day of betting. It's the most degenerate day of betting. Do it responsibly, but do it with your full heart. We'll see you again next week.
You got it. There's Jeff Hamilton at Jeff K. Hamilton on X, the Everything app, for all of his takes. And, of course, you can read his award-winning investigative work over at the Winnipeg Free Press. All right, the saw is locked and loaded. We'll bring Lee in and get ready for some Super Bowl talk on the program. But next week, I guess by the time we're on the air on Monday, we should have some idea about who's playing with who on Canada's men's Olympic hockey team. The Clean Line Lions aren't going anywhere during the NHL break. We'll be obsessing over who is playing with who on Team Canada, as well as maybe even Team USA and some of the other teams in the men's Olympic hockey tournament. And as always, the lines are brought to you by Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, your local leader and one-stop shop with over 40 years of experience, locally owned. And much like the captain right there, Adam Lowry, has the back of his teammates, Clean Line's got your back 24/7, 365 with 24/7 emergency services. In a jam, give Clean Line a call anytime, 204-500-2001 for all of your plumbing, heating, and electrical needs. When you're in a jam, check them out online at cleanline.ca. Looking for a great spot to watch the big game on Sunday afternoon? Make plans to get together with your gang down at your local Boston Pizza. Super Bowl festivities at all BPs around. Win some great prizes. Chow down on those world-famous BP wings, gourmet pizzas. maybe include a few ice cold schooners as well. And hey, if you are maybe having a party at your place and you want the great taste of BP tonight and every day, you can order online at bostonpizza.com. Might need a quick run into Royal Sports to gear up for the Super Bowl and the Olympics. Royal Sports is the NFL merchandise headquarters. And whether you are a Pats fan or a Seahawks fan, if your team wins, look forward to the championship merchandise coming into Royal, as it always does, shortly after the game. But for those of you that want to get decked out in red and white in the Canadian Olympic gear, get down to Royal for that as well. I know Connor and I both made a trip down to Royal and got some nice Canada gear that we'll be wearing throughout the Olympic Games. They have it all, not to mention snowboards, hockey, tennis. I mean, all sorts of sports, the biggest selection of shoes in town, and the best in licensed merchandise for all of your favorite teams. Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway. Check them out on Instagram at Royal Sports Winnipeg for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. All right, it's Beer Friday. You know what that means. Hacksaw. First up, though, let's give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery. Might want to stock up for the Super Bowl, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, let's welcome in the legend himself, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, to get ready for Super Bowl 60, Santa Clara, California, Patriots and Seahawks. Saw, what's going on? It's as excited as I am for the big game on Sunday, it's always sort of a sad week because we know that come Monday, it's the most depressing day of the year. We got to go a long time without football. Luckily, we have the Canadian Football League starting a little early, but we do have a heck of a matchup for this final game for the 2025 season.
Hey, Kid Costa Rica, welcome back. Surprised they let you cross the border again.
We somehow made it in, Lee. We somehow made it in.
Listen, in terms of the National Football League, I'm kind of amped to see this Super Bowl. It really has a strange feel. There is no Kansas City. Please explain to me why there's no Philadelphia Eagles playing football tomorrow or Sunday. But I think it's going to be a really good game. These are fabulous storylines. And, once we get to Monday, then we'll recap the Super Bowl. And then, we got free agency dead ahead. And then we got trades and we got the draft. This thing never ends in the National Football League. But this is going to be a fascinating game because there's so many storylines. I mean, just think of where the Patriots were a year ago today. They were 8-26 on back-to-back seasons at the end of the Belichick run and the mess with Jared Mayo. And they go from that to rolling in here to Santa Clara on Sunday with a 16-1 hot streak. I mean, that's phenomenal. And then you got Seattle. John Schneider is one of the best player personnel gurus you'd ever see around. Nobody's talked about him in weeks and weeks. He has rebuilt the Seahawks twice with two different head coaches, two different quarterbacks, and two entirely different rosters twice to be in the Super Bowl. I mean, you talk about a job well done. That's Seattle. And by the way, Seattle's dragging with them all their crazy fans, a 9-game winning streak, and they've won 13 of their last 14. They're on their own version of a Pacific Northwest heater. So, I mean, where these franchises were and where they are right now, I think it's just a marvelous story. And then we jump from that, obviously, into these coaches.
Yeah, let's get into the coaches a little bit because I think a lot of people aren't as familiar with Mike Macdonald, his background as being the defensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens, who for so many years were stalwarts right up at the top of the league. And then, I mean, Mike Vrabel needs no introduction, a Patriot legend, shockingly fired in Tennessee, bided his time, got the job that he wanted to. And, I mean, both of these young coaches have done absolutely phenomenal work with these teams. Now they're one way from the ultimate prize.
It's a great storyline, too. You hit it right on the nose. McDonald comes off the Harbaugh tree. Everybody seems to be coming off the Baltimore Ravens Harbaugh tree, head coaches, assistant coaches, etc. He's done a good job. Knows his X's and O's. He brought the Baltimore playbook with him, what they run defensively. He's brought in a mad scientist, the offensive coordinator, and Clint Kubiak, who's kind of moved around the NFL roadmap. He's had 6 jobs in 6 years with 6 different teams and has done very well at all of them, which is why he's going to be a head coach probably on Monday with the Raiders. But McDonald has brought something really different. He has brought a belief that whatever I call is going to work. He has recreated a troubled quarterback. He's reinvented a defense with a whole bunch of cast-offs that his general manager went and got from other teams. And he has made them vibrant and explosive on offense, and he has made them a physical force, a.k.a. Legion of Doom 2.0, on the defensive side of the football. So when he talks, they listen. There's no egos. There's no distractions in Seattle. I mean, it is phenomenal to see what this thing has become in a very short period of time under McDonald's leadership. But again, that's all coming off the Harbaugh tree. The other guy, Vrabel's been a winner his whole life. Linebacker, tight end, player. Been to 4 Super Bowls. He's got a world of experience. And then he learned, argued, coached, and took in a lot of data working under Belichick. And he's a phenomenal player's coach. Now, he changed the culture. He walked in that front door and said, I am not paying any attention to history. He threw the playbook in the garbage can in front of his players. And he says, this is what we're going to do. And then he proceeded through his general manager, Eli Wolf, to bring in 9 vested veteran free agents. Virtually all of them start on defense. 9 guys he rented for short order. And then they hit the jackpot with the quarterback a year ago. Then he went on and got a left tackle, a left guard. He got another defensive starter. I mean, they have really arrived way ahead of schedule. Now, it might be a short-term fix because he's got a lot of mileage on that defense with the free agents that they rented in. But I'll tell you what, he commands the room. There's no divas. There's no egos. And that says a lot because Stephon Diggs is on that roster, and I know that guy's history other places. None of that exists right now in Foxborough. So, I mean, it has just been fabulous to see the growth of what the Patriots were 12 months ago today to where they are right now. So those coaches have massive impacts. And the unsung guys behind the scenes, those general managers, if I read off a list, I'll just do this real quick. Just talk about John Schneider. He's got 13 draft picks starting of his 22. 13. And in the marketplace, he went out and got Sam Darnold, Cooper Kupp, Rashid Salid, DeMarcus Lawrence, Leonard Williams, Drake Thomas, Ernest Jones, Uchenna Nwasu, and Julian Love. Those are starters in other clubs he brought in. And those guys are all core components to everything that the Seahawks are doing. So it's just not an X and O's game. I mean, the storylines of how they got there, what they become, I just think this is a fabulous set of storylines to talk and write and think about.
I was talking with one of the guys on one of the other shows I do earlier today about Sam Darnold's story and trying to find a comparable for Darnold, who, was a 3rd overall pick, went to New York, was labeled a bust, bounced around a couple other teams, spent some time in Carolina, backed up in San Francisco, then went and was rejuvenated with an incredible season in Minnesota, and they still moved on from him to the rookie, and yet here he is. Historic numbers. I mean, one of only 5 quarterbacks ever to go back-to-back 13-plus win seasons. He actually did 14 win seasons. And I mean, that group is Manning, Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Brett Favre. Pretty gaudy company. It is sort of a one-of-a-kind story, Lee, that could end with the ultimate finishing with a win on the weekend for a guy that was labeled a bust and had pretty much been written off by most people around the league a number of times in his young career.
Bingo, you hit it right on the head. The correct word you're looking for is reclamation project. But this is an end result of a big physical force quarterback who got drafted really early, and it's a syndrome in the NFL. Bad team, no quarterback, take the quarterback, gets the hell beat out of him.
He was so young, too. He was 20.
And it doesn't work. And suddenly he's got this label attached to him, and he was just the victim of what's not around him. And what changed? Well, A, he grew up. B, he wound up going to Minnesota to play for a bright light coach in Kevin O'Connell, who I know, and he had great wide receivers and skilled people around him, so he got progressively better. And then he goes into Seattle, and it's not that the Vikings didn't want him. Kevin O'Connell wanted him. The general manager screwed that deal up, and that's why Mensah got fired last week as the Vikings GM, because that thing was a mess in terms of relationships, contract negotiations, etc. But he goes to Seattle, and this is a prime example of a kid that grows up on the job and now suddenly, for the first time in his life, is surrounded by really good, skilled people, and 5 offensive linemen that were all draft picks of that general manager, plus a heavy-duty 2 running backs. And suddenly, this kid's confidence has now blossomed because he's not gun-shy and he's not getting his brains beat out. Now, he's aggressive. He still puts balls into areas that say, oh, don't throw it there, but he gets it there more times than not. And he's just grown in terms of maturity. But it's the old syndrome of what the Jets were. That was such an organizational mess. And the quarterback suffered the end result to what that kid started to become in Minnesota with the people around him and what he's graduated to now up in Seattle. I mean, he's never played. Maybe he did at University of Southern California. He's never played with this kind of firepower around him. So that's helped rejuvenate him. So that's, reclamation project. It's a fabulous story for a kid who's very humble.
Hey, Lee, with the Patriots back in, there's been lots of talk about Tom Brady, who is not publicly supporting his old team in the game, and that's rubbing some people the wrong way. But it got me thinking about Bill Belichick. There's actually a prop bet over at CoolBet. 2-1, will Bill Belichick attend the game with Jordan Hudson? I'm going to take that, not thinking that he wants to go, but he has no choice in the matter. She'll want to be there, and she runs the show. But the Hall of Fame just went down. Belichick not in on the first year, and it was released this week that Robert Kraft as well. Is that egregious oversight, or is it right considering some of the things that Patriots organization did under Bill Belichick? He's getting in. I'm sure it'll be next year. But what was your take on the way the voters decided to let Bill in particular wait a year before making it to the Hall?
Well, I got great regard for the Hall of Fame and the people and the leadership and what it represents, because you have to tell the story of the sport. You can't tell the story of the sport without the hoodie and without his quarterback, and they will get in. The first thing that came to mind when I found out there's 50 voters on this committee, and the first thing that came to mind was it professional or was it personal? Because it might have been one, might have been both. So that was the item, because obviously Spygate, Deflategate hangs over the head of virtually everybody in any conversation about Belichick. At the end of the day, I think because we have now seen this across the board NFL response, there may be a lot of people that don't like him personally, just the way he acts, curmudgeon and condescending and all that. But everybody that I know in pro football respects the X's, the O's, the acumen, the academician that is Bill Belichick. So this is a long answer to your question. He will get in, deserve to get in. I think some people held it against him. He only missed by 1 vote. He got 39. He needed 40 of the 50. There's a more complex issue to this vote. There's too many names clumped into one category, and you can only take so many out of that category on an annual basis. And I think there's going to be a change in the voting process. I think what the NFL needs to do is they need to have a category up here on the left that's for the modern day entrants, the latest generation of stars. Then you have a category on the right for the stars of yesteryear. Then you have a category for coaches and administration people. And then you have a category for contributors. And that might be an owner who's been very influential in the game. It might be a former commissioner. It might be Bob Kraft. It might be somebody that created Monday Night Football. So you don't have all the names lumped together in 1 or 2 categories, and the poor voters say, well, love this player, but geez, Belichick is out there. So I think that's the next thing that's going to happen is they're going to rearrange the boxes where the names go, and we'll probably have better definition. And you take one out of each of the other boxes aside from the current modern day star or the retired player who was back on the list and eligible. That's the way I'd see it. It's a great class going in. What Drew Brees made himself after he left the San Diego Chargers and went to New Orleans for 13 years, what Larry Fitzgerald did and all the dysfunction as Arizona Cardinal football, it's just absolutely spectacular. Who Luke Kuechly was for the short window when he played before the neck injuries and the concussions took him out of the league after 8 years. Those are all real impact guys. So it's a great class going in, but boy, there's an awful lot of dialogue about what did not happen and what should probably happen a year from now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And listen, I think the Deflategate's honestly a bit, blown up about nothing. But the Spygate is significant. And you're covertly taping a team's last practice before the Super Bowl, fined $500,000, first-round draft pick. It is a black mark, and I frankly understand why some people still somewhat hold that against him. That won't be the case next year. He'll go right in, but it was a very interesting ordeal, and hearing the fallout of that and how hot the takes were around it. Lee, as far as the game goes, who you got? What's your big prediction for the game on Sunday?
Well, I did Seahawk football for a bunch of years after I did the San Diego Chargers, so I got a lot of friends up there still within that organization. But I just broke it down. I had written a bunch of columns on my website about the Super Bowl and all that. I just broke it down position by position. The only position I have New England having an edge in is tight end. Seattle's got every other position locked by virtue of what John Schneider has acquired. That's not to say that New England can't get it done. Let's give Vrabel credit and Josh McDaniel credit for what Drake May has done. They play without panic. If it's not going well, that's okay. We got 4 quarters of football. We'll make adjustments. We'll come back the next series. And what has happened in the 3 games that New England won against the best defenses in the league? Chargers top 5 defense. Houston was number 1. What they did in Denver before the snow arrived, they find a way to stay in the game for 4 quarters and find a way to win it. But that being said, Seattle's got so much firepower, and Seattle's defense is a bitch too. I think it's going to be a defensive war. There may be an odd turnover or two, although these quarterbacks in the playoffs have not turned it over a lot. I think it might be a field goal kicker's game, but I'm picking the Seahawks to win because I just think they've got an awful lot of weapons. And yeah, Vrabel's got all the world of experience, having been in the Super Bowls and preparation and hot focus and all that. This is McDonald walking down the street for the first time with this collection of players in the Super Bowl. But I just think Seattle's got way too much firepower. I hope it's a good game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I could see them actually winning by a margin, to be perfectly honest with you, Lee. I love your analysis, though, of position by position through it. I think they just are a more talented team. I got tons of respect for Vrabel. And the thing is, yeah, they beat those 3 teams with top 5 defenses, but they did it with their own defense. They did it because C.J. Stroud turned into one of the worst quarterbacks in recent history. They did it because Sean Payton decided to not kick a field goal and take a 10-point lead. And of course, they were playing a backup quarterback. And guess what? It's another top 5 defense waiting for him in this big game. And I think Seattle's going to get theirs. So I do like the Seahawks as well. Well, we'll enjoy the game this weekend, Saw. We'll lament the end of a season on Monday. And then it's all in on the Olympics. And we are coming for you, Yanks, in the men's hockey. Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid. Watch out for Team Canada when we drop the puck next week.
When I wear my USA hockey hoodie, you will still allow me to be on your podcast, correct?
For sure. It probably will come with a silver medal.
It's going to be great. I love the Olympics, and I love the Winter Games probably more than I love the Summer Games because I'm a big ski guy, and I like all those outside events on top of it. But, it's going to be fun. The hockey arena story is really interesting. I got a friend from San Diego that works in electronics, and he and his company were hired at the last minute to go over there and connect wires, and it's still not done. They've got I don't know if you've seen the pictures. the upper deck of that new arena, it's all got black curtains. They don't have all the seats in, and they're not going to have all the seats in. And the concourses are not completed, and some of the locker rooms are not completed. The media workroom is an empty storage bin. I mean, it's kind of bizarre. IOC has taken a lot of heat. You know, in Italy is not South Africa. It's not a third world country. You had 3 years to get this thing done, and they're still scrambling, and they still have not been able to do it. But it's going to be great. And it's, you know, coming off the Frozen 4, that's so cool that we've got that now as a template for what this is going to be. And playing for the flag, it's just really got special meaning.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we saw Brandon Hagel and Kachuk fighting last night in that final game between Tampa and Florida, and it's like, let's go. Let's drop the puck. Cannot wait for it. Lee, great stuff as always. Look forward to talking to you next week. We'll talk a little Olympics and look ahead to the offseason. But right now, it's all about Sunday. Patriots and Seahawks, Super Bowl 60. Thanks for doing this. Have a great weekend, and can't wait to see all the Super Bowl talk up at LeeHacksawHamilton.com this weekend.
1919's on you. Have a great sports weekend, Canada, and we'll catch you next week. Thanks, man.
Take it easy. There's Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. LeeHacksawHamilton.com is where you'll find the website. Make sure to give him a follow on his YouTube channel with great takes, as always, from the Saw. All right. I'm going to do a mini Chud Sports Power Poll when we get into the Cool Bet lines with my top 5 favorite props for the Super Bowl coming up. But I do want to shout out and say what's up to Pitt and the gang at Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge, who's getting ready for another great summer of fishing at the jewel of our province, Aikens Lake, a fly-in fishing lodge, an experience where you can be on the water in less than 2 hours from the city of Winnipeg with world-class fishing and even more world-class hospitality from the incredible Aikens Lake team. People are fired up to get back to Aikens. They're over 75% booked for the summer. So if you're thinking about a group, a corporate event, or just going out there with some of your friends, get on over to aikenslake.com, find out more about availability for the upcoming season, and stay tuned next week. We will be running back our auction where I can be not as much your guide. The professional guides will be your guide, but your host out at Aikens Lake will be doing another auction with our friends at the Health Sciences Center Foundation. And we'll have details on that for the next couple of weeks heading into their gala later on in February. But aikenslake.com for more information on the upcoming fishing season. There's Pitt laughing it up. Cannot wait to get back there this year out at Aikens. All right. Now, we do have a big Olympic story, which we will get to in a moment. Before and I do have to get to the Cool Bet lines. But let's get Remis in here because once I get into the Cool Bet lines, I'm going to want him locked in on the marble race. But I know he has been dying to talk about the latest Olympic controversy as we see the rest of the Olympians introduced at the opening ceremonies. Remo, there is major controversy in the world of ski jumping as we get ready for Italy.
Yeah, and I'm just watching the Olympic athletes come in. Sweden in right now, Switzerland led by Winnipeg Jets forward Nino Niederreiter. He'll be carrying the flag for them, so I have it on tablet. I know a number of people watching.
He's probably next, right?
Yeah,
Swiss would be right after Sweden.
I'm trying to do the alphabet. Yeah, I would imagine. Oh yeah, there they have the flag there. So that's next. I'm gonna screen grab a picture on my other computer here because I can't show. I don't want to get busted by the IOC streaming. Yeah. They got this stuff on lockdown.
Totally.
They're locked down. So this story came out in The Athletic yesterday, Hassan. Here was the headline on X.
Oh, here's Nino.
Oh, here. Okay, you're ahead of me. I'm behind. I'm streaming on my tablet.
I'm watching on NBC.
Oh, I'm on CBC.
Oh, man, coverage. Just quickly, what a great, so happy for Nino. What an incredible honor for him. That will be a moment of a lifetime for him. There it is, Nino Niederreiter, hockey of your Winnipeg Jets on the world stage, welcoming in the Swiss team with the flag. There's true good guys in sport and in hockey. Nino's in the top tier of that. So even though this has been a disappointing season for him personally and his team, can't help but be really fired up for Nino carrying very proudly the Swiss flag that he'll be representing at the Olympic Games.
That is really cool to see as, member of the Winnipeg Jets. And you saw his 1,000th game. You got Roger Federer, Roman Josi, all these stars giving him props on 1,000. Switzerland, they're the dark horse team. They're the team to watch. 2010 was Slovakia's push forward. Switzerland, they performed very well at the Worlds. Watch out for them. That's going to be a tight game against Canada. I think that's next Friday at 2. The other game is Thursday at 9 something, and then Sunday at 9 again. I gotta make sure I have the schedule on lockdown here. Got to put it on my phone, reminders, everything. But I'm gonna post that on our social media, Nino Nier. But this headline came out yesterday after the show, and got everyone fired up. From The Athletic, this is Big J journalism. This is why we need the journalists uncovering the big stories. Reports have surfaced before the Winter Olympics that alleged ski jumpers are injecting their penises with hyaluronic acid to fly farther. The World Anti-Doping Agency has vowed to investigate. So I looked
First question, how exactly would one taking some sort of a penile supplement help them fly farther in the world of ski jumping? But there is a science behind it.
Yeah, I've got the diagram that shows it. Shout out to Sicko's Committee for posting this on X. So I guess when they get measured for these skin tight suits for ski jumping, there's they have to be a certain skin tightness. They can't be more. So when you inject your penis with this acid, it gives you a temporarily, bigger girth and size. So when you're getting fitted for the suit, you have a bigger suit that's allowed. So when you have a bigger suit, and you're doing these ski jumps, it creates more drag and gives you a more sail-like effect. So it's science. This is why we have science.
This is science.
This is pure science. So for every 2 centimeter increase in suit size circumference, lift will increase by 5%. And that's equivalent to an extra 5.8 meters in jump length. So that's huge, 5.8 meters in jump length. And I see Atomic in chat saying, where can one get this acid? The comment section of The Athletic was all time actually on this article. So worth the subscription to The Athletic. But then Thomas Drance, the Vancouver Canucks reporter for The Athletic, posting this graph. Fellas, are we doing okay out there? So this is the interest over time for hyaluronic acid, where to get. And yesterday was major spike in men. I'm assuming men, maybe women searching for this. So
maybe that's a Valentine's gift. That's just around the corner. Maybe the women are searching for it. I got you something, honey. Check this out.
So
ever heard of ski jumping?
Yeah, I showed it to Ben Stein. I think he's with Daily Faceoff now. He's with CBC. He covers the Olympics. He posted this yesterday, all before the opening ceremony. UK skeleton helmets don't match regulation. Penis injections in Norwegian ski jumping scandal. The curling lights went off yesterday. The Finland hockey team, the women, they canceled their game or rescheduled because of norovirus and a Russian side. I didn't hear about this Russian cyber attack, but we're waiting for some viral stories that we can all get behind, like ray gun. And I don't know if the Norwegian ski jumping injection scandal is going to be it, but it gives a laugh for sure and a lot of reaction. So that was a fun one from yesterday.
Yeah, the Russians tried to make their presence known at the Olympic Games by coordinating a cyber attack on a number of areas in and around the Olympic Games. But the Italian tech team took it down. It has been thwarted, so the games will go on. Opening ceremonies just sort of finishing up. There's the Ukrainians getting introduced. And just on that, you mentioned the Finnish team, which, had to be shut down. The Finnish women's team costing Canada their first game. that game has been rescheduled to Sunday. So before the big game for the Super Bowl, make sure to tune in and check out Canada's women. And we'll get someone on to talk women's hockey next week as well.
Schnitzy in chat, he said, my wife gave me hyaluronic acid for Hanukkah, told me it was good for skincare. And that's what Kenny's water bottle in our Discord said, that it was a good health product. I don't know if it's safe for injecting, but they do say if you're not cheating, you're not trying. So, I mean, credit to these. And I don't know if it's technically like doping, like you're not going to test positive, but it does give you an unfair advantage going against the rules.
You know what? We should have jumped on and just see if there's any publicly traded hyaluronic acid companies when this story broke. Because it does seem like with the Google searches that, sales could be booming for non-ski jumpers based on what we've learned about this product over the course of this segment. But Olympics are on. We got a ski jumping scandal involving penis injections. Bring on the games.
Yeah.
Let's go. A last call for marbles, everybody. If you just jumped in, ! marbles in the chat. Let's get to the cool bet lines. And a couple things right off the bat. New NHL futures are up, so you can make sure to check that out. We'll have some fun over the course of the next week going into that. But two big promos for you from Pat and Jake over at CoolBet. First and foremost, the WST bonus. If you want, you can use the promo code WSTSB60 when you're making a deposit, and we'll double that deposit up to $60. So you bet 40, you'll get an extra 40. You bet 50, extra 50, 60, extra 60. Very, very easy. Only have to play through it once. So WST SB60 for the 100% bonus if you want to get a little more action on the game. And then if you go to at CoolBet Canada on X, you'll see the pinned tweet. And if you're making any prop bets, you can get into the 60+ club and get a piece of the $5,000 bonus bet pool. What you're going to want to do, place a $25 wager on any prop bet, a touchdown, a rushing, a receiving prop, or defense special teams. You got to follow CoolBet, and you reply with your slip and just fill out this form that counts you in. If your player scores a 60+ yard touchdown, you share the pot. So I just did that earlier, and I added, I was kind of thinking more, Reem, the thought of who could get a 60-yard touchdown in this game. And to me, the guy that's the most dangerous for a big home run swing is Rashid Shaheed. So I've got the over Rashid Shaheed receiving prop. I think it's 21.5. I just responded to CoolBet with my username and just filled in on that link. And I'm locked in. So hopefully there'll be a bomb to Rashid Shaheed for over 60 yards. Or maybe he returns a kick for 60 yards like he did at the beginning of the Niner game. And I will have a piece of that $5,000 bonus pool. Again, that's the pinned tweet over at CoolBet Canada. So check that out. Count yourself in. And don't forget WSTSB60 for that one-time deposit bonus. Only good up until the Super Bowl. If you want to use it. Heading over to CoolBet, we've got tons of Olympic action right now. You got Olympic hockey. I did dive in on my Canada futures. I'm locked in on Canada at plus 120 to win the men's Olympic ice hockey. But you can bet on the MVP, top threes, the groups, and so much more, goal scorers and point scorers for all the teams. So if you're really diving in, you want to get a little action on the Olympic Games, and especially the Olympic hockey. It is all up there right now. As I mentioned, great new markets for NHL futures. There's cup winners, obviously all the divisions. Oh, my guy, Matthew Schaefer. This is one of my favorite bets I've made in a long time. Preseason, 17-1 to win the Calder Trophy. He's now minus 1,000. Just give him the award now. Art Ross is pretty tight. McDavid plus 125, McKinnon plus 160, Kucherov plus 170. McKinnon's the favorite for the Hart Trophy. You've got and then point totals for all the teams as well. What's the Jets? The Jets over under is 81.5. So basically, if they can get it to 500 by the end of the year, that's the over, and that's even money. And then there's also make the playoffs numbers for all of these teams. If you're wondering about the Jets, Jets are plus 1,000 to make the playoffs. Florida Panthers just plus 205. I might just take that minus 286 and make a bet because I think it's as good as done. But anyways, tons in the NHL side as well. Now let's get over to the Super Bowl. The spread has moved from 4.5 to 4 at CoolBet. So if you are liking the Seahawks, this is a heck of a good time to get in. I just kind of topped up my Seahawks action with the 4-point spread. Do like them to cover. Total is 45.5, and the money line minus 227 and plus 190. Now, if you go to the Winnipeg Sports Talk YouTube channel, this morning, Connor, as well as Pat and Jake and myself, did a prop draft where we picked her 7 favorite props. Once one was off the board, you couldn't take it again. We all did a long shot, a 6-1 or more. We did one of the novelty bets, a touchdown score, a player prop, and then 3 wild cards. We'll probably tweet out the results, but definitely pop over there and check it out if before you make your bets. And there's like 2,000 markets that you can bet on for this game. I mean, it is always the biggest event of sports betting in the year. We finished with a bang. Everything from MVP, totals, winners, touchdowns, props for receiving and rushing, to some extra special ones today. We've got the first TD celebration. Will Bill Belichick attend the game with Jordan Hudson? A Cardi B prop, a Dave Portnoy prop, Chris Collinsworth. Will he say, quote, now here's a guy. The length of the anthem. There's Bad Bunny props as well. I don't know any of the Bad Bunny songs, but we do have a Ballet Involidable at plus 750 to be the first song. Titi Mi Pregunito, heavy favorite at minus 323. There has been some Bad Bunny line movement as well. So it is all there right now. Take advantage of the promos, have some fun with the game, and do it responsibly. I will do a quick Chud's Power Sports Power Poll, though, for my favorite props during the game. A power poll is always brought to you by Chud's. We've been doing NFL all year long. We'll move to different topics. But just bets overall for the Super Bowl. Number 1 on my list, I'll start at the top. It's the Seahawks to cover the spread. I love the Seahawks in this matchup. I know New England has beaten 3 top defenses. Well, their offense hasn't done much, and that won't be enough to beat a Seattle team that I think is poised to put some numbers up on this New England defense as good as they have played. So Seattle is number 1 to cover. My number 2 pick, we're going to ride with Sammy Darts. What a story he is. His passing prop for the game is 229.5. I got the over on that one. That is number 2. My favorite receiving prop for the game is Cooper Kupp. And a real nice number at CoolBet. I've seen 34.5 at other books. It's 32.5. So I've got over Cooper Kupp at 32.5. That is number 3. In the team specials, this is, I think, maybe the first one that I picked, and I absolutely love it. The question is, what will happen first? A punt or a score? You can bet this for both teams. I'm focusing in on the Patriots, and I've got Patriots punt at minus 123 before a Patriots score. So we'll lock that in one on number 4. And listen, if you want a fun prop that could hit at any time, I'm going down the list a little bit. But Jake Bobo, who has 3 catches in his last 2 games, his receiving prop is 0.5. So I am on the over on that. Jake Bobo to get at least a yard receiving. I think when I bet that was about plus 170.
Wow.
And then, of course, I did add the Rashid Shaheed receiving prop at over 21.5. I think that one's a real keen one to get in on the cool bet bonus for the 60+ club. So, folks, go nuts. Check out the WST winners for more of our favorite bets. Connor had some real beauties today in that one as well. And most importantly, enjoy the game. If you've never played a cool bet before, use the promo code WST. We'll hook you up with a 100% bonus up to $200 on your first deposit. But if you've already used that or other bonuses, you can still use the WST SB60 100% bonus up to $60 for Super Bowl 60, Reem.
Super Bowl 60, yes. I can't wait for that. Some good picks there. Huss, I did get the picture for anyone who missed it. Nino Niederreiter carrying the flag in for Switzerland, looking sharp. A lot of talk about, the outfits, Lululemon doing Canada's. I thought they were fine. I do still rock my 2010 Vancouver toque. I see a lot of love for those. On social media, I got the 2014 one, but I haven't. And I got the gloves too, but I haven't.
Hey, I was about to say, did they do the mitts this year? I mean, remember the last few Olympics, like everyone was wearing the Team Canada mitts?
Yeah, they were awesome. You could go to the Bay. They were like $20. They sold so many of them. I don't know if they're in high demand. Is Lululemon now? You know how much the mitts are to buy, like in the tube?
Lululemon mitts are probably like $150.
Yeah, they're $100. So
are they really?
Yeah, like wait. I'll give everyone a pro tip. Like if you want to get them, wait until after the games. They're gonna get heavily discounted. I know my wife bought some of the summer stuff after. That was fun. I think about the 2010. Like it was in Vancouver, but you had that stuff that was affordable. Everyone had it. Like Lululemon making great gear, but people aren't rushing to buy a $70 toque.
Yeah, or a $100 pair of mitts.
Although I will say my wife does have Lulu mitts, and she says they're amazing. So,
well, I'm sure. I hope they are for $100.
Yeah, they better be. You're paying $100 for them.
Okay, listen. Let's get to marbles. I am one of my associates has just texted me as well. It says you can get hyaluronic acid on Amazon.
Oh yeah, do we need to try this out, Huss, on a live stream?
Maybe not.
Oh,
maybe
Ironic.
not.
Everyone talk. Oh yeah, it's pretty cheap actually. Who was the first? I think they did trial and error to see what worked as an injection.
Amazing they even thought of that. I mean,
yeah. I mean, these professional athletes. They're wired differently. They're looking for every edge out there. The ones no one would ever think of. That's what makes them the best of the best. They didn't get to the top, Huss, by not exhausting every option.
No, definitely. All right, let's tee up some Tristan Rivers music. I just realized now I've been talking nonstop since 10 a.m. today. And I'm ready to go in and check out the rest of these opening ceremonies. Marbles time. Let's tee it up with the one and only Tristan Rivers music with one of his award-winning marbles themes on Winnipeg Sports Talk.
What should I pick here? Well, I'll pick this one here. One sec.
It's Friday, another week of work's gone by. You deserve to treat yourself, maybe an ice cream cake or a bottle of rye. No day in, so that you can't deny. Why use effort even for pleasure? You find luck to cry. You sign into a marble race. Knows to separate best to worst. Marble race. Just type marbles with the punctuation first. Marble race. Don't spam or you will suffer. Oh, let's pay. Marble race. You won't mark before it's too late.
All right, Reem. What do we have? I guess do we have a winter-themed track for today for the Winter Olympics?
That was Green Day. And hold on, we're getting a text here from Royal Sports. They're saying they have like the OG style Canada mitts that are selling very well. Check these out here.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Greg just fired this up.
So if you want to go, rep Canada with the OG style, like these are awesome.
Old school, probably not $100.
He said $29.99 for those, selling extremely well.
Not Lululemon. Grab them before they're gone. You can see. I think Connor has that. That's the new Canada Olympic hockey hat.
Yeah.
So yeah, Royal's locked and loaded for the Olympics. I got to be wearing my my hoodie I got for Christmas from my mom.
I'll be
also picked up at Royal. We'll have a lot of red and white starting on the show next week. That is for sure.
I got my Canada hats. I got multiple. I wore the flag hat yesterday. I got a multiple World Baseball Classic Canada hats, which they just announced the rosters. We'll get to those. That's March. That's a bit away. I do have my Canada 91 Sakic jersey from 2002 that I have had. Well, it feels like I just bought it, but I did buy it 2001, even December I would have bought it. So 25 years ago. Crazy stuff, Huss. Isn't that awesome?
All right. Greg, thanks for sending that over. Get on down to Royal, folks, your Olympic headquarters. And those mitts are sweet. And not $100. All right. What track are we doing?
Okay,
today?
I sampled one before. First of all, we got 213 entries in the marble race. Let's see. Pretty Crazy Bakery I just picked. I thought it was cool. Right. I don't know if you've ever picked that one or not.
No, never heard that one before. Throw me in as well, please. All caps.
I will throw you in all caps.
And as you get that ready, by the way, we're not canceling Tate McRae.
Oh, thank you.
I know
yes.
she showed up. I know she showed up in that ad, which was an NBC ad for the Olympics. But why are people? First of all, she was dressed entirely in red, so that's Canada right there. She was talking to an owl. This young woman is our greatest export. Don't hate on her for taking a check from NBC and being a part of whatever they're doing. There are many Canadians that are going to be having a big role in the Olympics. Our men's hockey team, hopefully winning gold. And, if Tate wants to do an ad for, the British aren't going crazy because Dua Lipa is in ads for NBC. There's no big national outcry. So stop being so overly sensitive, people. Let her take a check. Let her do an ad for the Olympic Games. And as she put out on her Instagram, everyone needs to chill. I'm always Canada down. And it was a picture of her as about a 4-year-old holding a Canadian flag. So Tate, you're still good with me. Enjoy the Olympics. I know who you'll be cheering for when Canada gets at it in both men's and women's Olympic hockey and all of the other events. Team Tate right here on WST.
Murray says sellout. Well, I don't know if you checked, Murray, but the record business doesn't sell. The records don't make money like they used to. So she's taking the paycheck from NBC, wearing red.
Yeah,
though.
She was wearing all red. It wasn't let's go Team USA or anything like that. It was the Olympics are coming up. If you are complaining about that or giving her business, you have issues. I'm just going to say I think I could probably give you a list of about 1 million things that should piss you off more in Canada in 2026 than Tate McRae wearing all red doing an Olympic ad for NBC. But I digress. Let's do the marbles. Let's start off this Super Bowl weekend. I got more work to do at Coolbet to finish up my card.
Doug B says, awful preachy this week. I'm like, yeah, well, if that's the show, that's what it is. Us talking about stuff. That's
if you don't have takes, what do we have? We can just, read the newspaper or something like that.
Yeah, you can just
there's a ticker somewhere out there that'll give you all the information. We're trying to have a little fun here. Come with some strong takes and opinions. The one take that we can all agree on is It's marbles time on WST. Let's do this, Reem.
What am I watching here? There's dancing in snowsuits. All right, let me get this. So I did. Apparently, we've done this track here. What did I say? Pretty Crazy Bakery?
Yeah, Pretty Crazy Bakery.
All right, let me fire this up. And we didn't even talk about my favorite story. Artemi Panarin trying to wear number 72 with the LA Kings, but he can't because it's taken by their mascot, Bailey.
Bailey did put out a tweet, Panarin, maybe we can talk. I don't know what Panarin can pay off the mascot to get his number. I don't think it would be out of order for him to wear 72 and have Bailey be 72 as well, for the record.
The Kings they're a team with rules. I know David Alter noted on X that Carlton the Bear and Joseph Wool share the same number, 60. So
there you go.
There is precedent here. But that was one of the funnier things I saw yesterday. So I'm curious. Maybe they're just trying to drive up attention for Artemi Panarin. But here, I know you.
Let's
you've been
do some
talking.
marbles, please.
I'm trying to get it set up here as I disappear myself. So we have a number of names here. Let's see, how many do we have? 200 and so? No, that's not the right list.
213, I think you said. 214.
Yes, 214. Marbles Feb 6. I will do this.
If Tate has a USA Hughes jersey on, she's done. That would be, I would agree with you on that one. And even though, I mean, if you're dating a guy, I don't know where, I know they were out spotted gallivanting a couple times. I don't know where that's at right now. Maybe she can trade up and get someone on the Four Nations champions and soon to be Olympic champion Team Canada as well. She's probably got no shortage of resumes to apply to be her boyfriend, though, we'll tell you that. All right, here we go. It's the Pretty Crazy Bakery. Should have new stock in a couple weeks for the hoodies, by the way, for the sizes that we're out of for folks that are waiting. Appreciate your patience on that. All right, Super Bowl weekend, 214 in the hopper. It's not the weekend until the marbles drop on WST. Let her rip, Michael Remis. All right, big funnel to start this one off. Oh, and I like it. They got the cookie bottom on this one. That was that Smurdy 22 Canuck. Who else is in that mix? There's Elias McCracken, Farmer Brain, my buddy Todd Fertani. Oh, did Fertani get bounced right off the bat? That might be a record, Todd. You lasted 2 seconds in the marble race, although now you got some company. We've got some top roping going on with a number of the marbles early on, but it is Elias McCracken, former very solid poker player. Elias was in our tourneys. We'll do another one in a couple of weeks. We'll solidify the schedule next week and let everyone know when they're happening. WST Maddie on one side, Elias McCracken on the other. Darth Skater just got bounced, as did TTT Bone, Mr. V Dub also. But it's Elias, WST Maddie, Felix Pet Cow, our top three. Tristan Rivers Music is right there in the mix. I see Holy Smoly in the top 10 right now. But right now, Elias McCracken. Now, this looks like also some sort of a cookie style bit. Now, there's a jump. Interesting. Okay, over more cookies. WST Maddie went from 8th right back up into 1st. Felix Petkow's in the mix. Who else is in there? Redmond, I believe. But WST Maddie, Felix Petkow. What's that number 2 one there, Remo?
Corey Oscarwitz, 1979.
Okay, and then the Atacan Man?
Atacan Man, M. Klassen's in there. Charlie
Nice.
Dufault, he just got bumped. Man, there's some marbles getting thrown off the top here.
Yeah, this is dangerous. You're not in until you're in. WST Maddie with the lead right now. Looks like, we got a big orb coming up. It'll be whoever gets out of that one first. Corey Osurwich, 1979, is in second. Those are our clear top two. 22 Canuck in the back. All right, they're into the orb. Maddie and Corey are both in. The question is, will they have company? Will somebody else get out first? WST Maddie had the lead, and it looks like he's holding it. WST Maddie shot out, and with the win. Nicely done. I believe that's a first-time winner. WST Maddie. Oh, look at Dr. Terry from St. Vital Dental Center, number 4. Wow. Terry, oh, geez, that bodes well. Terry, you're on a heater right now. Let me know who your picks are for the weekend. I'm going to have to follow some of your props. WST Maddie, Corey Ozerkelwitz, Dave Jameson. Not sure whether that's the famous David Jameson of EST fame. Dr. Terry from St. Vital Dental Center. Strong performance. Took care of 6 clients between the start of the show and the marble race. Still managed to come in 4th. Felix Petkow 5th. Elias McCracken 6th. M. Klassen 67th. Chucker in 8th. 22 Canuck 9th. And Atacandman, the top 10 for today's show. Nice work, WST Maddie. All right, Reem, let's get the results up so we can let everyone know where they finished. Oh, wow, this is so pixelated. I cannot really see this.
Oh.
There
Maybe
we
it's
go.
coming in weird for you. I don't know.
Yeah, there we go. It just got fixed. All right, we go down. Thor from the 204, Manny Fran. Issue Boy Bruce, 15th. Nicely done. Duck Dad, 20th. Duck Dad, good luck to you and all the lock shoppers. Great to see you today. Spency 5 Sensi, nicely done. There's Bardo, strong one. Bozeman, 35. You got me today, pal. There's Eagle Eyes, another one of the poker crew. What's up, Eagle Eyes? Dan Jets fan. Who else do we have? There's Jet Oil Tom. Great to see Jet Oil Tom at the game last week. Peg City Scott. There's Ryan Dry. Wayne Bretsky. The mix. Just popping a few other. T-Will. 87th. Not too bad, T-Will. There's Farmer Brain. Tristan Rivers Music as well. As we keep on going. THP Power. That's the final. So more than half of people were bounced.
Wow.
And this is everybody else. I mean, it started going fast and furious. I mean, I don't know whether those chocolate chips were popping and popping people over, but today I got top roped. But today was all about WST Maddie, and I believe that is a first ever victory for WST Maddie in the marble race.
T-Will is in chat accusing Maddie of injecting his marble right before the race.
I couldn't make out what part of the marble he was injecting it into, but I wouldn't put anything past him.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. That is great. That is great. Fun week today. Again, I want to thank Remo and Connor for holding it down while we were away in Costa Rica. Hell of a lot of fun. Hopefully we can make something like that happen again next year. But it's Super Bowl weekend, folks. We can take a little bit of time from obsessing about the Jets, lock in on the Olympics, lock in on the football game, and next week it is going to be all systems go for Team Canada in men's hockey. Women's hockey, they'll have already played. The makeup game against Finland is going to be on Sunday, and can't wait to be talking all things Olympics. We will probably change the schedule around on next Friday's game, just a heads up, because the game starts at 2:10, and I know no one, including myself, wants to be doing this program in the middle of an Olympic hockey game. So we'll have some details on how we're going to work around that next week. But that is going to do it for us. Thank you to Hacksaw. Thank you to Hammer, Jeff Hamilton, and John Matisz from The Score, and all of you for hanging out with us today on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Have yourself an awesome weekend. Just noticed that the River Trail is extended all the way to the Hugo Dock now. So with it warming up tomorrow and throughout next week, I would suggest getting out there as well. But whatever you do, lock in on the game. Take advantage of those Cool Bet promos. If you haven't already, check out our prop draft from this morning on the YouTube channel. And may the winners be yours for everything you're throwing down for the big game. And we'll look forward to seeing you on Monday as we count down to Canada's first game in men's hockey and get the latest on everything happened in Milan. Mike McIntyre will join us as well a couple times next week, so should be a real fun one. Folks, for Michael Remis, I'm Andrew Paterson. Enjoy the Super Bowl and the weekend. We'll see you Monday right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Don't forget Connor and Liz, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. with WST Sunday Live.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.